top 8. We're going to be right back with even more EWC. Let's send things to the studio.
And the first official key has been crushed in day number 3, and Wei Yi is officially out of the tournament. But what a run he had from the play-ins into yesterday's competition to today. And man, I gotta say, it was a battle till the very end. And Mike, you are calling it probably the most exciting match out of the past 3 days.
That's right. Nihal got to show his speed in the end, and he was actually a little bit unfortunate to even have to go to Armageddon. We're going to take a look at Game 1's missed opportunity in a moment, but Anna and I were joking. They need to put heart rate monitors on us. We've seen everything in the chess world, and we could not sit still watching that final match. Anna, what were your thoughts on that Armageddon?
Absolutely. I mean, we were both glued to the screen. We couldn't believe what was happening. Nihal was having such a winning position for a long time, but the time was ticking and the nerves were there, and what an epic finish it was.
The only thing we were deprived of was Nihal pre-moving 32 moves in a row to do the king and rook mate. Wei Yi didn't make him do that, but other than that, that match had everything.
Everything indeed, and history between the two, at least when it comes to their performance last year at EWC. They both made it to to the main stage. Wei Yi walking away 9th through 12th. Nihal Sarin, though, getting 5th through 8th, and he's getting closer now, one match away from getting to that point. We're going to see him in just a little bit, but for Wei Yi, again, just to celebrate his accomplishments, to make it to this point, to make it to that stage, protecting his key as long as he did. I mean, Anna, he had a phenomenal tournament.
He absolutely did. I mean, he was looking unstoppable in the last chance qualifier. Wei Yi was just amazing. He's done a great tournament, also versus Alireza Firouzja. It was such a close match. We know that Alireza is one of the favorites in the whole tournament. So Wei Yi should leave being very proud of himself. He's done a fantastic tournament.
Absolutely phenomenal tournament indeed. But let's go back to Game 1, which really set the tone, honestly. And I think this was a moment, Anna, that you were particularly passionate about, and you pulled it out. What are we going to be discussing?
I was very excited when I saw this on the screen because it looked as if Nihal was just able to win a piece. This was the moment. We see that the queen and the rook are both attacking the knight. And in that previous position, when the rook was in the center, White could have pushed the pawn, attacked the rook, and wait, this is a little bit later. But Nihal had a moment there where he really could have force the rook to move away from the protection of the knight. There we go. F4. The rook doesn't have any place to go. He's pushing the pawn 2 steps forward, attacking the rook, and no matter where the rook goes, the rook can be attacked again, and then the protection of the knight is gone, and Nihal would win a piece, which at that level would basically mean winning the game.
I usually make a joke on my channel, you can't push your F-pawn without my written permission, but Anna, of course you have my written permission. F4 deflects the rook away from the knight, and he would have saved himself about 30 minutes of heartache, but now he's a little bit more battle-tested. The only thing that Nihal wasn't prepared for was crushing the key. He was apprehensive about pulling the levers. My hand going to get stuck in the machine?
No, perfectly safe out there, I promise you. But I got to say, yeah, the key crushing is an exciting aspect of it, and he might have to get used to it because he might be crushing yet another key today. Now, for Wei Yi, again, we celebrate his accomplishments. He's been playing incredibly well. Unfortunately, his key has been crushed. However, it doesn't mean that we don't get a chance to catch up with him after that matchup. John Sargent sat down with them. Let's hear what Wei Yi had to say.
Wei Yi, sorry to be talking to you under these circumstances. Please talk to us about that Armageddon game. When we saw Bishop takes d4, it looked like a really crazy middle game.
Yes, I think it was like on my computer, but I'm not sure after e3. I think black should be okay, but I think maybe I went wrong after maybe after queen b3. Yeah, I think should be okay for me, but in Armageddon game, everything can happen, and yeah, And yeah, maybe rook d7 was the mistake. After that, he played b4 and many accurate moves. And after that, yeah, I think I missed the move rook a4. After that, black was just lost.
Now, towards the end of that game, yes, Nihal was winning, but at the same time, both of you were getting very, very low on the clock. We thought someone was going to flag, but you ended up resigning in the end. Do you think you might have been able to try something different to maybe try to flag him?
Yes, maybe, but I think I didn't have too much experience on bullet games, so yeah, so maybe I should play more bullets. Yes, after this.
Well, look, he's been crushed here at the EWC, but at the same time, it's been a very long tournament. You've gotten very far in it as well. Talk to us about your overall experience at this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's even I'm out today, but I think it's really a special experience for me. And yeah, I really enjoyed the games, and yeah, in like LCQ and also in the main events.
Thank you very much, Wei. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doom scrolling is cringe. Chess is fun. Get all the dopamine of looking at your screen and none of the guilt when you're improving your mind with chess. Want to improve at your own pace? Take a few seconds to complete a puzzle and learn something new. Don't be cringe. Play chess. There's something for everyone at chess.com. Learn, play, and have fun.
Thank you, John, as always, for the great interview. Anna, getting a little bit of insights into Wei Yi's mind in that matchup.
Absolutely, and we know that Wei Yi said that he's going to practice more bullet in the future so that he can get even better at flagging opponents. I look forward to seeing Wei Yi playing more one-minute chess.
Yeah, either way, highly consistent, back-to-back EWC appearances. Who knows, maybe next year we'll be seeing him once again. But regardless, though, around the venue, man, it's been insane. I'm hearing fans cheer every which way, left and right. And Trav is going to give us the update with Club Championship Update powered by Aramco.
We're over here at the SCC Arena and it's Rocket League still throughout the rest of this week. We just had a bit of a kind of rumble going on behind us because Falcons have managed to get a win on the board.
Yeah.
It might not mean too much leaderboard movement, but they're definitely catching up.
Well, to be fair, it does put them 50 points behind AGAL. So considering some of the other games that are happening this week over for chess, and also the fact that they are now in that top 8 with an opportunity to catch even more points here on Rocket League, I think that is quite big for Falcons. This is exactly what they were hoping to get because they looked so strong as well doing this.
Yeah, I will say as well, this puts a lot of pressure on Denis Lazovic over on our stage in chess as well, having to get some points on the board for AGL, otherwise they might just be caught by the end of this week.
Thank you, Ginny and Trav, for the update. Yeah, it's getting loud just off to my left, and we know why. Falcons are on a tear, and they might be on a tear during our playoffs as well. But Nepo and Neiman, they're up to something. They're giving their tier list powered by Aramco.
Hello, it's Jan Nepomniachtchi from Aurora Gaming.
Hello, I'm Hans Niemann. I play for Godlike.
Now we're going to do some blind rankings of the greatest chess players. No one else but Bobby Fischer. I would probably put him to the S tier because of like his overall influence to the game, which is unmatched by his great, successors. So then it's Mikhail Tal. I mean, there is surely someone like Gary and Magnus are ahead, so probably I put it here, but yeah, I personally evaluate him like very, very high, but keeping in mind there are some more players ahead.
Great female chess player.
Magnus Carlsen, but I don't think he would be too offended if I put Gary, one step ahead of him.
Speaks for itself.
Jose Raul Capablanca Egrauspera, one of the best intuitive players ever lived. Probably, I'm not sure about Alekhine, but I put him here, of course.
Certainly a very interesting personality. I would put his personality at number 2, but put him here. His chess wasn't I mean, he was more interesting of a person relative to his chess.
Anatoly Karpov, strong player and great champion. I think he holds the record of like the most tournament victories. You know, this was reserved for Gary, so as high as I can.
Put her here.
Wilhelm Steinitz, a real gentleman of chess, and you know, back then, of course, an unmatched personality.
Morphy, great American champion. Put him here.
Okay, I'm lucky here to have Gary Kasparov, so Magnus is not offended.
This must be Kasparov. Yeah, not the worst list. I'm just happy that Fischer is up top.
Thanks for watching, and see you at the Sports World Cup.
All right, got more players arriving. Jan, good morning. How are you? Well rested, feeling okay?
Morning, yeah, of course.
The international has started. What time did you wake up this morning?
I believe 6:30.
Good man, watching all the esports. We appreciate you. Good luck in your matches today.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, who else we got? Andre, good morning. How are you doing? Did you sleep well?
Yes, nice sleep.
Like Jan, are you following any of the other esports at the moment? Are you watching the international today?
Not really. I try to focus on chess.
That's all right. It's Chess Esports World Cup, 100% focus. Good luck in your matches.
Thank you.
See you soon.
John, they only have so much time. They've got to focus on chess because they're about to throw down on the stage behind us. Another elimination match, another key to be crushed, and another player to move forward in our bracket. We're moving over to Group B. Jan Nepomniachtchi going against Esipenko. Let's hone in on Nepo and what makes him such a great competitor.
Jan Nepomniachtchi, one of the very best chess players in the world. He's played the World Championship match twice. And even though he's never become world champion, he's been as close as you can be. Extremely strong player and very strong contender.
Very strong indeed, but a misclick sent him to this position. He's got to recover. But on the opposite side, man, you got Esipenko who's looking great. But real quick, let me slow my roll. Grandmaster at 16, now 36. Been a Grandmaster for 20 years, and it definitely has paid off given his position. But again, that misclick, the emotions were flaring, but he woke up at 6:30. I don't know, there's a lot of factors going into the matchup today.
You know, he might be one of the bigger gamer fans of everybody. He was very experienced at Dota for some time, and we've always wanted a 2 esport athlete in chess. He needs to win 2 matches to get to the playoffs to earn any points for the organizational standings. Virtus Pro is tied for 4th. If he at least gets to the top 8 by advancing, then he'll get a minimum of 200 points and they'll be vaulted onto a podium finish.
Esipenko and Nepomniachtchi played each other last year here in the EWC, where Esipenko first beat him in the group stage, but then something else happened in the lower bracket.
Yeah, unlike a regular tournament, they actually had to play again. They went all the way to Armageddon. Here was the interesting thing. Esipenko tried a bit of a trick opening on move 4. It was a 4 knights, and he played the so-called Naroditsky variation, named after the late American Grandmaster. It worked in game 1, but it did not work in the Armageddon, and Nepomniachtchi was able to hold the draw, and he's the one that eliminated Esipenko last year in Riyadh.
All right, well, they got history not only last year, but over the past 6 years, they've been going against each other. But it's Nepo who currently holds the lead, but will he hold the lead in the matchup today against Esipenko? Let's go to the stage to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially time. On one side, we have Jan Nepomniachtchi, qualifying from the Champions Chess Tour. This is one of the most accomplished players of his generation, and he is a 2-time winner of the Candidates Tournament.
And he will take on Andrei Esipenko himself. He had to go through the play-in. He was sent to the lower bracket, took Vladislav Artemiev down in lower finals. That meant he had to face Magnus Carlsen yesterday. Not an easy pick, and now today everything is up for grabs. Another match for the Tournament Live on the line. It is time for the second match of the day on Stream A. Tournament Live on the line. Who can stay alive in EWC 2026?
Thank you, Hollywood. Rob TV. Thank you, Damascus. What a match we have in store. A rematch almost from last year. A lot of history. These two know each other extremely well. Both had very different paths to this point. Andrei Esipenko has crushed many keys already on his path here. Jan Nepomniachtchi, of course, a world-class player for so many years now. Tanya, I loved it when they were standing opposite each other. That face-off, will we see just as tense a match this year as we did last year?
What a sight that was, David Howell, and that's what I'm hoping for. Right after that match, Jan Nepomniachtchi's words, sometimes you need some pure luck. Now, luck is not what Nepomniachtchi wants to rely on today against Andrei Esipenko, who did play the world champion, the former world champion yesterday and a former two-time world championship challenger today. What a run this has been for Esipenko here at the EWC, but both of them on their last life. Only one key survives. To answer your question, I'm hoping this one also goes down to the wire, just like our last matchup.
Exactly. We saw an Armageddon earlier in the day between Nihal and Wei Yi. Will we see that happen again in this match? It's Jan Nepomniachtchi to start with the white pieces. He's extremely strong with white. He can kind of serve with several different hands. He can play E4, C4. He has so many different specialties in his repertoire. Andrei Esipenko also fantastic in the opening. Maybe a bit more tricky with his openings. Let's see how things kick off. It does feel like Jan Nepomniachtchi will be aiming to strike with white. His score, at least so far in this event, with white, much better than with black.
I'll add another speciality of Jan Nepomniachtchi. One of his greatest weapon has to be tempo on the clock and psychologically as well. Now for Esipenko, how battle-hardened is he? He survived the pressure in the plains. He survived elimination 4 times today. He faces it one more time. Game 1, and we are off. Jan Nepomniachtchi with the white pieces chooses the English. I've got a happy co-commentator here.
Exactly. English opening. Jan Nepomniachtchi's been playing this for many years, but it does transpose to the Queen's Gambit declined. An exchange variation here. White's bishop coming out. Tanya, I've got to say, look at those heart rates. Already pretty high for a baseline. The game just beginning. This shows how much the players want it. This shows that nerves will jangle. The previous encounter, Nihal Wei Yi, their heart rates were 80, 85 when they had 1 minute left. At the height of the climax of the games. Here we start on a high.
David, for so many of the world's elite, the EWC is potentially a career-defining event, and to play their hearts out. Now, they both know that they are on their final life. They need to win to keep the run going, and it's already a fantastic opening that we've got. We see a trade, an option to pick up one of the 2 knights for Jan Nepomniachtchi. He barely takes a pause. He goes for the center one.
He goes for the center one. He might be about to pick up the second knight. We could see 2 knights versus 2 bishops if Jan Nepomniachtchi now captures the black knight on the edge of the board, wrecking black's pawn structure. The argument here for Andrei Esipenko with his structure ruined now is that his bishops will come to life a bit later as things open up. But for now, Jan Nepomniachtchi with a choice as well of which way to castle his king. There we go. He slides across to the left to the queen side. It's looking very dynamic already and clear this last move that Andrei Esipenko is still in his preparation.
Exactly 1 year ago is that matchup that happened in EWC where Jan Nepomniachtchi survived a dead-lost match situation and won in an Armageddon. Esipenko, 1 move away from getting that victory, was knocked out. This is a massive grudge match, and I have to say, the opening we have, these both are playing like it's a grudge match. The queen out early, black's king still in the center, maximum tension to open up those central lines. There is a pawn hanging on the right flank of the board. This is absolute chaos.
Wow, I've been commentating for so many years, but I've never seen this. This is such a rare variation. Queen's Gambit declined is supposed to be super solid, but this has exploded already. We're only 13 moves in, and black is just letting the center burn. Black's queen, though, going pawn hunting. Black's bishops will come to life if there's a capture in the center. Tanya, tactics galore. Andrei Esipenko clearly has studied this, and Jan with his last move, relatively quick. I'm going to say a good choice, bringing out his knight, stopping any checks from the black bishop.
Jan being quick is not something new in the chess world. Tempo, speed is one of his biggest strengths. He truly uses the clock as a weapon. I have to say, though, optically, it just looks like white has managed to finish development, has beautiful pawns at the center of the board. The knights are out as well. I'm doing a quick math here. With pawns in the balance, until those bishops come out, until you find king safety if you're Esipenko, you're the one on the back foot.
Definitely. And the first real pause of the game from Andrei Esipenko. Will the black queen get greedy, start grabbing some pawns? Will we see him exchange off in the center, break that tension finally? There was a trap on the last move if white had gotten greedy and grabbed black's central pawn with some bishops coming out. The bishops now unable to activate yet. But okay, just to show what could have happened on that last move if White's knight hadn't come out, stopping the black bishop from giving a check. If White had captured instead, there would have been a deadly game over already. Black could give a check, for example, first, forcing the white king onto a vulnerable diagonal. Queen and king now lined up. Instead, we go back to the position. This would have been deadly. The knight coming out stops that idea. Instead, there's been a trade in the center. Black's bishop still pinning the white knight to its queen, and white defends. Watch out, the black king now eye-lined. X-ray vision, there might be some tactics.
There's an X-ray vision, and right next to that is a line that's been blocked. So black can't.
He needs to just kind of close his eyes here, hope for the best, cross his fingers and say, I'm going to castle. He does. Whoa. He finds the best move, Andrei Esipenko. The black king is open, but at least if it gets one more move, slides into the corner, a little bit safer.
But do you have that one move, David, that you so badly want to get your king into the safety? I'm also looking at the H-pawn moving ahead, hit that queen, G-pawn moving ahead, hit that bishop, open up the G-file, give some checks. Andrei Esipenko looking too cool for this position.
Oh, too cool for school. This is so sharp. This is crazy. And this could still go in any direction, of course. The eval bar says roughly level, but bishops versus knights, that is controversial, often leads to some tactics later. The first move you mentioned, Tanya, on the board, Jan Nepomniachtchi is going to go for it. Long-term, black is doing fine. So short-term, that's where white's chances lie.
And now there's a check on the board. You wouldn't want to trade your queens off at this moment, looking at black king out in the open. But if not, Esipenko is ready to trade off the rooks and the d-file. What are we expecting? Do you think he's going to offer a queen trade, or is he going to block the check or move the king sideways?
Yeah, normally you would want to move your king sideways, right? But somehow it's just a vulnerable diagonal. White's king would be lined up, stared at by black's bishop, so the block. It was either the queen block or the rook block, but here, keeping the queens on. I think that's just more his style, Nepomniachtchi. He's so good with queens on the board. Even Magnus has said he's one of the best players in the world in queen endings. Queen and rooks on here. Makes a lot of sense. The rook could slide later, maybe, if it's able to unpin itself. Maximum tension right now, and I agree. Black's king needs to get into the corner. Black needs to trade off some rooks. A lot on the agenda. Andrei Esipenko needs to prioritize. Choose an order here.
What a position we've set ourselves up for in this game one already. There are so many dynamics and imbalances. The pawn formation, the bishop versus knight complex, the king's open, king safety in question for Andrei Esipenko. Rook on that central line offering the trade feels like the most logical approach in this position right now. For Jan Nepomniachtchi, you know, we already saw the triple table smash. What are the chances we get some more of that today?
Maybe a quadruple table smash, who knows? I mean, he's always been a fiery player, Jan Nepomniachtchi. He's always been so passionate, so determined. He wants it. And that shows in his style. When he gets the flow, when that dynamism is there, he jumps on it, seizes it. The opponents can never really rest. And Tanya, I've got to say, the clock situation is one thing, but the stakes feel higher here for Andrei Esipenko. If black is careless, makes a wrong slip, he could get attacked, it could be game over. If white's careless, maybe it's just a slightly worse endgame, and things continue. So the next few moves, really crucial.
And it's exactly because of those attacking possibilities. If you're Esipenko, you want to get pieces off the board. The fact that he's taken this pause before getting that rook to the center line, I'm trying to understand what else could be going on in his radar. What's on his radar for Esipenko right now? Give Nepomniachtchi one more move, David. That G-pawn pushes the queen out. Then moves one step ahead, pushes the bishop out, opening up pathways to the black king.
Exactly. When the black queen is kicked away as well, there might be some knight checks. White's knight in the center might jump out the way, discovered attack against the bishop. There are tricks galore. And where do you even start calculating is the question. When in doubt, they say shuffle with a downside.
Let's take a look at that, because this feels like the most reasonable response if you're Esipenko right now. And then you trade those two rooks, get that off the board, you push the queen out, and then your idea, David, of the knight checks is really something that needs to be investigated. And good luck to Esipenko trying to work that out with 5 minutes on the clock.
Exactly, a double attack here. Black could try taking with the queen, doesn't really work here. Taking with the bishop instead would allow the white queen to swoop forward, and it looks like a fantastic position for white. Black's bishop will move somewhere. The game goes on, but white with a safer king. And that is why this variation, too scary. Andrei Esipenko has shuffled his king into the corner, but the same thing happens. The black queen has now been kicked back, and the white knight now entering the middle, hitting a black bishop. Question mark given, a mistake. The black bishop can move. Maybe it can grab a pawn. Maybe the more natural draw, though, is to slide back and stay on the diagonal.
Again, the need of the hour, brave and gutsy for Andrei Esipenko. He challenges Yan on, and then Yan, after sacrificing, voluntarily giving it up, does a bit of an expression right there, and then leans in, trying to find a way ahead. He doesn't care about the pawn. He's pushing, he's coming for Esipenko's king. The pawn goes ahead, but still compensation to be proved. Black has enough pieces close to the king for safety.
Exactly. It's kind of a paradox here because the black queen is totally locked in. The black queen looks passive, a bit stuck, but she's a great defensive piece. She holds everything. Black's light squared bishop, it wasn't about getting greedy and grabbing a pawn. It was just the fact that it now has a nice outpost on the g4 square, protected, but also protecting its own pawns. And Black's rook comes to the center now with gain of time. White's knights look nice, but one of them isn't so stable. And yeah, this could still go in any direction, of course. But for now, Andrei Esipenko maybe has dodged the worst.
I completely agree with you. For Yan Nepomniachtchi, he has to checkmate. He has to deliver that attack, a killer blow on the black king. Pieces come off. The endgame is completely busted now for white. You know, you've got that extra pawn. You've got a bishop pair. You've potentially got a pass on the left flank as well. A direct path for your king to come into the game. That's going to be a very challenging endgame. So whatever needs to happen has to happen in the middle game.
Exactly. He needs the energy now. The next half dozen moves. Yan Nepomniachtchi needs to strike, create some threats. Not so easy. If he takes a timeout, just moves his knight out of the center, defends it, then Black's rooks might start getting more active. Maybe the black queen slides across one square, and Black's position starts to improve. Black, of course, as we say, doing well long term. Pawn up now. So Yan needs something here. He's investing a bit more time. He had 2-3 extra minutes. That's dropping, but this is the critical moment. He sensed it. That's the experience paying off.
You know, that pawn sacrifice that we saw by I think you need more human responses in this position. Still asking some questions. Knight g5, knight h4, a threat in the air. I like this move by Andrei Esipenko. And a queen trade offer down a pawn. That surprises me, David.
Wow, that is strange. And look at that, a frown from Andrei Esipenko. Slightly surprising is an understatement here. It's frankly a bit bizarre to trade off queens when you're a pawn down. No more attack either. That is a sign of panic. He might be holding a poker face, Yan Nepomniachtchi, but I think that he's not so happy about recent developments. Given a question mark, queen's off. It's going to be one-way traffic. The bishop's going to come to life.
He doesn't look so concerned at all, which makes it even more baffling to me right now. An immediate decision by Andrei Esipenko. Attacks the rook. You could shift it sideways, start targeting some pawns on the queen side. He does it. Hits the bishop first.
It's the bishop. The bishop can move. Another question mark there. The black rook can also set itself in the center, defending, getting ready to double up a bit later on. White's pawns are all on dark squares, so he goes pawn hunting right now. Makes a lot of sense. Andrei Esipenko smells blood.
He really does, or at least smells a few pawns on the right side of the board. You know, the h-pawn might not have given a passer to Esipenko, but if the g3 pawn, that's a clear path ahead. If that g3 pawn falls, the h-pawn is coming up the board, needs to be defended. He does that, falls back. And now for Esipenko, there are ideas of striking that pawn chain in the center with the f-pawn moving one step ahead.
Exactly. You can break forward at some point. Andrei Esipenko, a slight shake of the head, maybe frustrated that he's down at 3 minutes already, suddenly realizing the clock isn't his friend. But yeah, those white pawns, once they start collapsing, they'll be like dominoes, falling one by one. If he can get to them, it's game over. We see the game graph. It's been going in Black's direction the last few moves. That momentum is on his side. He wants to keep it that way, but he needs to move. He gives a check. He's down now under the 3 minute mark. It's suddenly a blitz game for Andrei Esipenko. Still, the end, far, far in the distance, though.
And that's because the evaluation rarely determines the result when it comes to these format. And look at that, he makes a very ordinary move, a normal looking move, and it turns out to be a big blunder on the board. Bishop falls back, and here, Yan Nepomniachtchi's opportunity lies.
He has a winning idea, Yan Nepomniachtchi. He doesn't find it. He brings his knight back on the last move. He actually had this idea of forking the two bishops. This bishop is trapped. Now, if it captures a pawn, the bishops get forked. Double attack against the two bishops. Yan Nepomniachtchi rushing past a critical moment. Still had 5 minutes on his clock. Could have gone from almost losing to almost winning in just one move. He's missed it. The game continues. Andrei Esipenko dodged a bullet.
of when your biggest strength becomes the one that challenges you, becomes a weakness. Jan Nepomniachtchi plays on the clock, but this time rushes his decision. What a moment of miss, but an easy one when you're looking at speed, looking at the clock right there. Jan Nepomniachtchi, the good thing is I don't think he spotted that miss. So he's not playing games with his mind right now. He plants the knight to a really nice square on f6. It's game on. With that knight posted there, that has to be enough compensation.
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 moves, despite that big miss where he could have won a bishop, it does feel like it's been trending in White's favor. The White Knight is now glorious. It was on a slightly more passive square. Now it looks fantastic. Entrenched on f6, mating nets around. Andrei Esipenko visibly nervous. He's been shaking his head, shaking in his chair, burning a lot of time on the clock. Jan looks calm. And there we go, Andrei Esipenko. This is him making his move to try and end the game as quickly as possible. Down at 2 minutes, he needs to accelerate the play. If there's a trade of pawns, a line opens up the c-file against the white king, which isn't entirely safe yet.
It's really not. And let's just do a quick count. Esipenko is still up a pawn in this position, has 2 beautiful bishops. And look at that. He is threatening to trap Black's bishop on g6, f5 is the big idea right now. That bishop cannot leave that square. h5 pawn is hanging. How are you taking care of this threat, Esipenko?
Wow, this is so chaotic. White might win one of those bishops, but in the process, he might lose all of his pawns. And we there saw a temporary sacrifice of a bishop, getting the white knight. Pawns are dropping, but f5, that pawn push still in the air. Black's bishop might be doomed. Andrei Esipenko leans back, exhales heavily there because it's still wild, this position, but he just has no time. 1.5 minutes and counting.
No increment in this format. The clock truly is the 17th piece for each of these players. 4 minutes to boot for Nepomniachtchi in this absolutely wild position. You take that pawn on the left flank, f5, you lose your bishop. Is that enough compensation? Is what Andrei is asking himself. But there's no way to fight that threat. That bishop is going down on the next move.
Exactly. You can't allow White's pawn on b5 to continue to survive. He does. He panics. He tries to keep his bishop alive. Maybe some checks from the black rooks. But look how powerful White's passed pawn is now. The clock is playing a huge role. Andrei Esipenko here. Esipenko, I was about to call him, panicking completely, and it's spiraled out of control.
It really has. It's not only the pawn on c6, but the h-file opens up as well with checkmating ideas on that black king. And Nepomniachtchi knows that the job is almost done as he's about to put finishing touches. He could sever the connection between the bishop and the pawn. Push that pawn to f5. Rook takes pawn. Is this game over?
That's the Arabian checkmate incoming. Rook takes pawn in front of the black king. That would be the end. The black king can start to run, last a little longer, but it's not going to change the play here. White is now running forward with his king. Black's trying to check forever, but the king, hiding in plain sight, advancing forward, is marching towards a black rook, will hide around its own pawn. Andrei Esipenko shaking his head. No time, no safety. Game over. Jan Nepomniachtchi about to deliver the knockout blow and resigns. Jan gets the first strike in.
It was the table smash yesterday. Today, he starts with a fist bump right there, getting the first win, which means for Andrei Esipenko, he has to win the second game to force a tie break. But I have to say that Jan Nepomniachtchi gave him very little chances in this one. That was a game played to perfection.
Exactly. There was maybe a 3 or 4 move window in the middle somewhere where Andrei Esipenko had an advantage, but it was a difficult position to handle, really, really double-edged, and ultimately the clock making him panic. The self-destruct there towards the end was very quick. It spiraled so quickly, and there we see him playing through the game. Where did he go wrong? Not easy to pinpoint. A few missed tactics here and there, but he needs to reset, refocus. He gets white in the next one. It's still far from over.
It really is, David. It is the final game. And as you say, the first part of the game, Andrei Esipenko had a lot to be happy about. He did play dynamic chess. He got his kind of position. But once Jan Nepomniachtchi took control of the attack, he never let him back into the game. And this one, we go into game 2. Andrei Esipenko will start with the white pieces.
Okay, and not much of a break here. The players will kick off any second now, get straight back into it. The lessons for Andrei Esipenko, he just has to play a bit quicker. His opening preparation kind of paid off in the last one. He got a double-edged game. He'll want something equally dynamic in a must-win situation now, and another English opening. And this time it will not be transposing immediately, not yet at least, to the Queen's Gambit declined, as we see Jan play his World Championship repertoire. 2-time World Championship finalist, of course. He knows this stuff inside out, rock solid for Black.
Not something many chess players can boast of, winning 2 candidates back-to-back. Jan Nepomniachtchi there played his first match against Magnus Carlsen, his second match against Ding Liren. And here he is at the EWC stage. looking for a spot at the playoffs, the biggest stage right now in the esports world. Takes that pawn, the entire center is off the board, and I have to say, with the black pieces, when you're Yan, you're looking for a draw in this one. This is a dream outcome from the opening.
Exactly. Jan has pretty much put all of his eggs in one basket. He's saying, I've studied this, I know this, I've looked at this for a World Championship match. Black is slightly more passive, Black's light square, Bishop's still stuck at home, but if you know everything here, it's just a draw. If you study this with computers, that's why Andrei Esipenko already shaking his head. He's still living in the past. He's still remembering that first game, but he needs to just focus here and now. The opening, I think for White here, not keeping the tension, rushing into an endgame, that shows he's still stuck in that final few moments of the previous game.
And that is the hardest battle that a chess player fights. The battle not against the opponent, but against their own mind. And for Esipenko, that seems like the bigger one right now. And the position that he has in a must-win game. The big question, how do you create your chances? The queens are off the board. 2 sets of minor pieces off the board. A set of rooks about to come off as well.
Yeah, and sometimes in must-win situations, you need to play a bit offbeat. You need to surprise your opponent. You don't always have to play the best moves. You just have to keep the tension, hope for the mind games, hope your opponent cracks later. But rushing into an endgame like this, he hasn't given Jan Nepomniachtchi much time to crack at all. He hasn't given him too many big decisions. I'm expecting the White Knight now to leap forward into the position, but maybe Black can even sacrifice a pawn. It's going to be opposite color bishops if that Knight captures a bishop or a pawn next, and still very drawish in its tendencies, this type of scenario. Jan looking away, still clearly in his preparation.
He's barely taken any time, and it could be forced right now by Jan. He could hit that knight with his bishop, force Andrei into an opposite color bishop endgame, where Jan's rook will be the first to the open file as well. And all those scenarios are an absolute nightmare for Esipenko.
Yeah, he might win a pawn. He'll have to grind something down. He might have to squeeze water out of a stone. The hand is forced now, attacking the knight. That knight has to either capture a pawn or a bishop to try and maintain the winning chances. But yeah, Jan Nepomniachtchi, if he's able to defend correctly, we see the evaluation bar. A pawn isn't the most meaningful thing here, while the black rook might finally get active after the next couple of moves.
It instantly will. You take that pawn, there will be a couple of trades. Once the dust settles, we'll see the rook land on one of the central files for Jan Nepomniachtchi, looking at an infiltration on the second rank as well. He's forcing matters here in a territory he knows only too well.
And the body language from Esipenko doesn't show too much hope right now. He needs to grab a pawn. At least you have something to cling on to. Yes, it might be objectively close to level, but you have something to maneuver with a bit later. You hope the clocks tick down. You hope to keep that pawn as long as possible, and still grinding potential. But yeah, you need to keep the speed here. And the fact that he's paused, shaking his head a little bit, shows he's not really full of belief right now.
And he does go for it in a surprising capture, because this not only goes into an activity for the black rook, but goes into an opposite color bishop. He could have taken that pawn with his own bishop, keeping an imbalance of a knight versus the dark squared bishop, but a completely different approach there. Attacks the rook. Jan surprised as well. I'm expecting him to place that rook on the open D line, now threatening a second rank infiltration.
He's coming in. Simple as that. Can't really be stopped now. And a rook trade, Tanya. That would just be a draw. Opposite color bishops, like ships in the night, they bypass each other. Full blockade on the dark squares for black. Even a pawn down, easy draw. So the rooks have to stay on the board for Andrei Esipenko.
Instant handshake is what would happen if the rooks were to come off the board. But it looks like it is Jan's rook that's the more active one. So to keep those chances alive for Esipenko, perhaps going to complete passivity for now, put his rook on the second rank, making sure there's no rook coming in for Jan just yet. But how are you making your chances? You need to start pushing those pawns. It's 2 versus 1 on the left flank, but not so easy.
Not so easy. You push your pawns on the light squares, they get blockaded on the dark squares. If you push the pawns forward on dark squares, they might just drop off the board. The bishop steps back. It's now threatening to come back and block the black rook from entering. So this might be the opportunity that Jan Nepomniachtchi wants to enter with his rook. Still a long way to go, I'm going to say, Tanya. Still Jan who needs to prove the draw, but he does have a lot of time on his clock. He's probably studied something similar to this before as well.
Maybe we're just underestimating Esipenko's approach here, David, because the idea could be that this is the kind of position that you can play on for 1,000 moves. And with little time on the clock, you can keep suggesting at improvements. Your king coming forward if you're white, slowly threatening on the left flank with the pawns moving ahead. The bishops will always stay on the board. Well, I said pawns moving ahead. Instantly, Esipenko blocks that.
Yep. all been blocked now, and how to advance those white pawns, how to keep rooks on the board. If the white bishop is careless, moves to the wrong square, the black rook might enter the C file, drop down to the first rank, trap the white rook, trade off the white rook, and guarantee a draw. Very, very sneaky move there from Jan Nepomniachtchi. And okay, Andrei Esipenko.
Okay,
yeah, the approach is,
okay, right?
I'm going to say high risk, some reward. It's a high risk of a draw. The reward is that you might get a longer game, flagging potential, but you're not going to flag your opponent if you're a minute down.
And especially if that opponent happened to be Jan Nepomniachtchi, who himself is such a speed specialist. Now, I have to say that this is such a tricky way for Jan to handle all his problems right now. Like you pointed out, either a potential trade of the rooks on the C1 square, or the rook coming onto the second rank anyway. And look at Jan Nepomniachtchi. You know, he breathes out. He knows that he's going to move forward. It is going to be extremely difficult for Esipenko to even keep the rooks on the board over the next 5 moves.
Yeah, and Esipenko might feel that confidence from his opponent. We saw a moment ago, Esipenko's accuracy is up at 99%. I think Jan Nepomniachtchi's is also sky high right now, almost at the 100% mark, because this is opening theory at its finest. And there we see it, 99.4% from Jan Nepomniachtchi, 2 exclamation mark moves included. Despite being down a pawn, despite sacrificing it, these players, they know their endgame's inside out. And I think the match strategy, which could be proven genius from Esipenko if he's able to grind this out. Right now, it's looking like it's not giving him any real chances. Burning even more time. He spent nearly half of his start time, and we're only at move 22. And yeah, it doesn't look like he's come up with a plan yet. How to keep the white rooks on the board. The white rook just cannot get active anywhere.
You need it on the 7th rank, and it's not getting there anytime soon. Aurora Gaming brings in Jan Nepomniachtchi. He's the one who's got all the aura in this position. He stops the rook from coming in, Esipenko, but Jan's got his idea. He attacks the F-pawn. Notice how the E-pawn can't move to its defense. The bishop is hanging there. Not easy to challenge that either. You push that pawn, that's more trade. That benefits Jan as well. Really nicely played there.
Beautiful multi-purpose move. The white pawn's now totally stuck. The 2 versus 1 advantage on that left flank cannot move simply. The white rook cannot get in the game. And as you say, Tanya, white's only way to preserve the material advantage is to step forward one of those doubled pawns, the F-pawn. It gets traded, the black rook comes in anyway. Back to level material now. Jan wasn't even suffering down a pawn for too long. The rook's still active. Not even a back rank checkmate threatened because the black bishop can drop back and defend, but more likely here Jan Nepomniachtchi gives his king some breathing space.
You really want to do that. You don't want to bring your bishop back into passivity right now, expecting one of the pawns to move ahead or the king to slide over towards the center of the board. We can expect a check and the rook to line up against some attacks of the black pawn, but notice how the bishop that Jan has can actually slide back to c5, defend the a7 pawn, and also have a target of its own.
Exactly, the black bishop will hold everything, kind of an active and passive piece at the same time. Black's rook, slightly clumsy, might get attacked by a pawn. We'll see that there we go, and has to choose how to recirculate and get back into the action. But he might just start giving some checks. White's isolated h-pawn.
I think I am not allowed to do that, actually.
This one, it's going to be so
Welcome to stream. I think I'm not allowed to do that, actually.
The opening choice, I think, just the fact that he wasn't able to reset in time and
like I don't have to comment on myself. Like I can only watch time. A little bit of commentary I can do, but not much.
Like a play of what happened in the previous round rather than a standalone game itself for Andrei Esipenko. If you think about the first 10 moves and how he landed himself into this end game right now, for Jan, a clear path. You can check, dodge the white king, start putting pressure, but he first pushes his own pawn forward. I do understand there is a case to be made for Esipenko sacrificing material for piece activity. It was really his only hope.
Yeah. He's tried to maximize everything, at least the white rook that we were moaning about, at least I was moaning about. It is in the action, but it doesn't have targets simply. Black's rook controls everything. Look how he's putting pawns, multiple pawns on the 5th rank, where they can be defended by the black rook. The black rook also holds the f7 square, the bishop as well, controlling some nice squares. White's bishop stuck temporarily, pawns can't advance. I don't see a winning plan, and I don't even see a plan to test black right now.
And it's almost double the amount of time for Jan Nepomniachtchi on the clock as well. So I think anyone getting tested, it has to be Andrei Esipenko right now. He plays the move h3, trying to just create some squares. And look at that, Jan Nepomniachtchi barely pausing before going for the avalanche.
There we go.
You can listen,
Continuing
bro.
to
She's
advance
good,
on the
bro.
side
Not that
where
irritating
he is
also.
stronger. Makes a lot of sense. Andrei Esipenko
I think she's
guards the light
the,
squares, hits a pawn,
I mean, the best.
and he's trying to force.
They are
Black
not
here
even
to fix
stopping in
everything.
between. They're just
And,
non-stop
pawn advance is
going and
harder
going
now
on,
to
so I
achieve.
cannot speak in between a lot.
I like
Somehow,
this last
I don't
move
know
from,
why is
Andrei,
they
but
commentating
still,
in that
what
way.
next is the big question.
No, copyright will
I
not
think he
come
just has to
because I
start
have the
hustling
rights.
here, just go into
I
really
have the rights to
cynical
like
mode and start playing very
do
quick
this
moves with White.
watch party.
Hoping he
So
gets a
copyright will not come.
miraculous chance later. Hard to fashion anything right now, at least.
He does put the bishop on the longest diagonal, but no targets to be found. The moment the white rook lands on b5 would have put pressure on that pawn, but now that opportunity also taken away. And Esipenko probably thinking, why didn't I just do that on the previous move? He slides his bishop over.
Jan has won game 1, so probably we are going to see now that Jan is going to draw this game and he will win the match.
Ended for black.
Yeah, we're seeing the reactions from Esipenko as his pawn gets hit there. He's just annoyed that he didn't really give himself a chance in this game. That's the most frustrating thing. Must-win situation. You have the white pieces. You still have so many chances, but you head straight into this drawish endgame. Less energy. Doesn't really suit his style either, Andrei Esipenko.
The one thing that has been set up, though, as you're mentioning chances here, is he creating something, David? The idea of the e-pawn pushing forward, destabilizing the black rook from the 5th rank, and then perhaps starting to target those kingside pawns with a move like rook to b5 eventually landing. Let me point out, once e4 happens, black's rook...
It's good, no? It's not that bad also. I mean, they're commentating so well.
Which means you leave the 5th rank for the white rook to step over.
Oh, very interesting, and he might have to go for that at some point. Maybe that chance has passed. Maybe he needed to do it there and then, while the 7th rank was still open for the white rook, staring at a pawn. Missed opportunity, at least, to test Jan Nepomniachtchi. Might not have changed the evaluation, but might have been slightly more unpleasant for his opponent. Now black's rook is back and alive and threatening a check, and chances are disappearing for Andrei.
And the threats will continue. It's a check, and then the rook also ready to line up against some pawns on the right flank while check stopped for now.
Draw is loading, guys. Draw is loading.
I mean, this is all Nepomniachtchi needs to do. All he needs is a draw.
All he needs is a draw, and any attempts here to win might even come with some risk for Andrei. Position continues to repeat itself. The black rook still trying to get active, and black's bishop doing such a good job of totally blocking the plans of white's rook and bishop.
And if you stepped up far too up on the center of the board, you potentially could have been checkmated in one in that position. So again, forced to draw back with the king is Andrei Esipenko, and potentially staring at that draw, which would mean the end of his road.
Under 2 minutes. How does he stop the black rook coming in without allowing that repetition, the perpetual check? It's just simply not possible. And white's bishop, it's up a one-way street, and there we go. It's a draw by repetition. 0 chances in the end for Andrei Esipenko. So professional from Jan Nepomniachtchi, who moves on.
It's Jan Nepomniachtchi's Aurora Gaming.
Jan Nepomniachtchi qualifies for the next round now. And we might see some Pranesh versus BOK maybe now on next game, next match. So yeah, and just see this, like how they crosses others' key.
All of those key crushings that he was able to execute, now it is his own key that will be crushed. But Jan, yeah, he looked in control. Very impressive performance there in both of the games, it has to be said. And he, of course, will be in action again later today.
First game, a shaky up and down roller coaster battle, but the second one, an absolutely controlled performance there, getting the kind of opening you want, needing only a draw, just never giving his opponent an opportunity in the game. Jan Nepomniachtchi goes through.
Yeah, both players stay seated. They both continue to analyze to see whether white indeed did have any chances. The answer is no. Shake of the head, the door was shut on Andrei Esipenko there. I think the opening choice may be something he'll regret, but ultimately Jan looking up, he remembered everything about that opening. He knew too much and was just too strong.
Just too strong today. That head shake almost feels like he could have done better, is what he's expecting from himself, just the high standards he sets for himself. But I think there's a lot to be pleased for in this match for Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Oh, maybe he could just hear us and was shaking his head, disapproving of some of our comments, who knows. But Jan, a job well done. And Andrei just reluctant to leave that stage. This will be the last time we're seeing him, at least this year, at the EWC in Paris. But yeah, he'll be back. Still young, still plenty of peak years ahead.
And this will be the second time in a row that Jan Nepomniachtchi has knocked out Andrei Esipenko at the EWC. For Esipenko, again, a journey, one to remember in many ways until today, where he crushed 4 keys in the plains, came in, lost to Magnus Carlsen yesterday, dropped down to the lower bracket today, and then out on his way he will be after this loss against Jan Nepomniachtchi.
That tends to be the way in chess, in esports in general. You always have a kryptonite, right? You run into the same player a few times. 2 years in a row, he's run into Jan Nepomniachtchi. We'll see that final handshake, smile. These two know each other so well, a lot of mutual respect. But that's the end of the road for one, as we see the final moments of this game.
It is, and it were these checks that decided all of it for Jan Nepomniachtchi, taking that win in this match. A first round win, a second round a draw, did it all, and we go for the key crushing ceremony.
And another match, another key about to be crushed. As per Esports World Cup tradition, every player is given a key with his name, his hopes and dreams. And every player must give up his key to the winner. It is time now for Andrei Esipenko to give up his key to the winner, Jan Nepomniachtchi. The key is being exchanged, and as Andrei Esipenko has to bow out of the stage. Please, can we have a round of applause for Andrei Esipenko? As Jan Nepomniachtchi is joining us for the traditional key crusher moment. We've heard a few of them, and we'll have a couple more. And congratulations, he's got one more match, of course, to play for after. But before that, it is one of our favorite moments at Esports World Cup. The key is being set, and we are getting ready to destroy yet another key. The end of the road for Esipenko means the dream is still alive on Aurora Gaming side. We are primed, ready, locked and loaded. The key is about to pop. Let's hear it. Ooh! That might have been the loudest for a while, man. Listen, Jan Nepomniachtchi, congratulations again. He will be back a bit later today to play against Denis Lazovic for a place in playoff tomorrow. One more match to conquer for a place in playoff.
Just because the server is slow chess point, I have kept that arena 3+1. That was my reason to keep it 3+1. That is why I've asked for the 3+1. They have right now kept it 3+2, but it will be changed into 3+1. If you really want a 3+0, then I have to tell them. But I have already told so many things. From next arena, next tournament, we can do 3+0. That would be better.
You're impossible.
Yellow ad, dekho ad.
Jan Nepomniachtchi, what a battle it was. And you could tell by his face at the end, he gets the win, but he's not happy with it. Either way, he progresses forward. His next opponent is going to be Denis Lazovic. For Esipenko, though, for Virtus Pro's chances of getting more club championship points comes to...
Lazovic versus Nepo would be fun to see and watch. I think Lazovic has a great chance against Nepo. But Nepo has a great opening preparation because he has played 2 World Championships. That is the main advantage that Nepo has. Other than that, Lazovic can do a lot.
Till the very end. My goodness, what a match it was. Mike Klein, Nemo. I don't know. Did it go the way you guys were expecting it?
Whew, I think that was certainly really tough for Esipenko. I mean, we could see it on his face in the first game. The heartbreak after he had a better position coming out of the opening with the black pieces. Had these chances to put that rook on d5 and maybe get a little activity out of it, but unfortunately he missed it and slowly went into the endgame where it didn't look great.
Yeah, eventually there's a breakthrough on the H file. I think we'll take a look at that in just a moment, but he lost to the same player 2 years in a row, and he actually put up a better fight last year.
Okay, Prazu, okay.
He had this period of white.
May I come in? Where do you want to come in?
So maybe he should have gone back to that Naroditsky variation, but yeah, tough to lose to a player twice in a row and not put up as good of a fight as he did the previous year.
Oh, that's another tricky tactician. Oh, okay.
So you can start talking about it. A critical moment, obviously, that led to Nepomniachtchi ultimately getting his win.
Yeah, so kings were cast on opposite sides, and it actually looked like the white king had less protection. But we mentioned this yesterday. You can sometimes use the enemy pawn to protect, and it's actually white that broke through on the H file. And then here, after the bishop move, white played this key move, pawn on f4 to f5, and that sealed black's fate, because now the bishop can't get back to defend. Now, White was already winning anyway after Black's last move, but this absolutely sealed Black's fate. We call that the Arabian mate, so-called, because the queen used to not be very powerful if we go back 1,000 years.
Just 1,000.
Just 1,000, yeah. Thank you, Queen Isabella of Spain, for making modern chess more exciting. A shout out to Queen Isabella, but yeah, the Arabian mate was played on the board there.
All right. Well, for the side of Esipenko, though, again, this is a matchup they've been going through for 6 years across 3 different styles of chess, and it is Nepomniachtchi who usually gets the edge. Now, Esipenko has, in fact, beaten Nepomniachtchi in the past, but it's got to hurt, right? You get to the EWC stage, you go against an opponent and a friend, clearly, right? Shaking hands towards the end, but really processing the emotions of it. I mean, 6 years of total matches. History goes back, 1,500 years. 6 years is just a tiny drop in the scheme of it all, but I mean, for Esipenko, it's got to hurt to once again lose.
It hurts so much. He had such a battle to get here too. We all know he played in the LCQ. He played in DreamHack Atlanta, and then played in the play-ins here, where he unfortunately lost his first match and then had to basically win 4 matches in a row in order to make it into the main stage. And losing here is tough.
He was the big star earlier in the week just to get to this phase. He played 2 Armageddons, and that represents our last player from the play-ins. They're now all gone. Wei Yi and Esipenko both losing early on in the day, but his time will come. He does have the benefit of the youth over Nepomniachtchi, so
that's right.
You can't buy youth, can you, Taylor?
No, you can't. Sadly, I'm trying to. Only 34, but I'm getting older every day, and I don't know how it keeps happening. But I will say, though, for Esipenko, a great competitor, for VP, a wonderful pickup. You've got to be proud of him representing your club as a whole, because in the club championship race, obviously, VP has been doing a phenomenal job. But for Aurora Gaming, man, they are very happy with it. Now, for Nepomniachtchi, though, not over with just yet, right? He's got another matchup in front of him before he qualifies into the playoffs. He'll go against Denis Lazovic. I want to know your opinions in just a second. But, of course, when it comes to Esipenko, a tremendous performance. John Sargent caught up with them after his loss.
Andre, I'm very sorry to be talking to you under these circumstances. It looked like a difficult match. Talk us through the key moments.
Yeah, I think in the first game I had a huge advantage in the end game. I think it was actually just winning because I have 2 bishops, I have extra pawn. I don't know how I managed to, to lose it, but yeah, I don't know. It was already, I didn't have much time, so I couldn't understand which direction to play. And yeah, probably somehow I lost. And the second game, actually, I had a chance to go to this end game after bishop b7. I took knight b7. I don't know why. I just lost my mind. And yes, in this end game, I think it's a draw. What we got. But if I take with a bishop, we get like rook and knight against rook and bishop. I have rook and knight, which is very unpleasant, in my opinion, for him to play this position. And I just completely forgot about this opportunity that I can take. And I think it would be difficult for him, at least in practical, to defend. But what I did is just a draw in general. And yeah, I don't know. I was a little bit off today, I think, yeah.
It's unfortunate. Keys obviously crushed here at the EWC, but your reflections on the tournament overall as a whole and your journey this year here in Paris?
I think in general it was a good tournament because, yeah, I managed to qualify to group stage, which was very difficult, and I didn't expect that I can manage it. And I won 4 matches in a row against very, very top players, which I'm proud of. But yeah, in the group stage, I think yesterday I had a good chance against Magnus to win the second game. And it was basically just winning position. And today, as actually last year we played with Jan, also in Armageddon I had a winning position with him, completely winning. But I managed to mess it up somehow, yeah.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing you back here very soon, and thank you very much for the games and the fight that you've shown.
Thank you. Thank you.
Doom scrolling is cringe. Chess is fun. Get all the dopamine of looking at your screen and none of the guilt when you're improving your mind with chess. Want to improve at your own pace? Take a few seconds to complete a puzzle and learn something new. Don't be cringe. Play chess. There's something for everyone at chess.com. Learn, play, and have fun.
Thank you, John, as always, for that great interview. Nice to hear from Esipenko. A bit disappointed with his loss. However, he's going to be coming back. I am sure of it. But at least his run for EWC 2026 has come to an end. We got 4 more matches, 4 more keys to crush. Let's take a look at Group B and how it's currently stacked up to be. Nepomniachtchi, I mentioned, he's going to have to go against Denis Lazovic next. Denis Lazovic, the sole representative of AGAL, who's currently in first place when it comes to the club championship points. As far as he can go is always better for AGAL. That matchup coming up in just a little bit. It won't be next, but what do we think about it?
After I saw Denis Lazovic in person this year defeat Hikaru Nakamura in a 26-game match in London, I'm not going to pick against the young man. I've got him in that match. Whoever is the GM of Team AGAL, that's the signing of the year.
Signing of the year, indeed. What a talented player. 26 games. Mike, what even is that? How do you even stay awake that long? Either way, let's take a look, Nemo, at Group A, because it's also shaping up quite nicely. And again, some decider matches for 4, in fact, are going to be just one more match away from advancing into the playoffs, but they're also potentially one match away from having their key crushed.
I mean, this has been an intense last 2 days. We are going to see young Krzysztof Duda face up against Nihal Sarin coming up very soon. And of course, we did see Pranesh beat out Benjamin Bach in what was a very, very tight match on Stream B that also did go to Armageddon. And he will be facing Arjun Erigaisi. So, exciting matches. Exciting matches.
Exciting matches indeed. And now moving on to the next one that's about to be on stage. Jan Krzysztof Duda versus Nihal Sarin. Now, Nihal Sarin, we just watched him a little bit ago on Stream A. Heart rate never went above 80. Great composure, a wonderful competitor. But for Duda, though, he is a guy, a man on a mission, EWC experience, and he's looking to go all the way.
Yeah, speaking about Nihal Sarin first, he's the sole remaining sole representative. They started with 3, they're down to 1. He's actually trying to repeat exactly what he did in Riyadh, which is lose his opening match and win 2 matches in a row. And we got Duda on the screen. What do you have to say about Duda, Nima?
I mean, I think Duda has a lot of good chances here. He did play last year at EWC, much like Nihal, so, they're both very experienced. But Duda has also famously won the 2021 World Cup, which following that, actually had a little bit of a crisis in terms of his chess, where he was not too certain about if he wanted to keep playing, considering how much pressure there was on him. And, he did luckily bounce back for us to see him here now on this stage, because in 2024, he did come 3rd at the World Blitz Championship.
So he has a history of playing, clearly the case, Grandmaster for a reason. But on the opposite side, you kind of briefly touched on him. Let's go a bit deeper. Nihal Sarin, Weibo Gaming, he's been playing incredibly well. He just won on the stage behind us just a second ago. Now, I'll tell you what, as a competitor, it seems like his composure might be the best out of everyone we have at EWC when it comes to our chess tournaments. His heart rate always stays low. If he gets in difficult situations or in a time crunch, he holds his own.
He absolutely does. Think about last year. He beat on demand Anish Giri and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. That's not an easy thing to do. And the only reason that he left Riyadh is because he lost to a guy named Magnus Carlsen. So he's got the pedigree. He looks more nervous during interviews, actually, than we should heart rate him when we ask him the questions. And but actually on stage playing chess, you're right. Standing heart rate never gets above 75. He looks very comfortable up there.
Very comfortable indeed. And Nemo, this is in fact a qualification match. Whoever wins goes to the playoffs, get our 5th spots right. With the others, whoever loses, key is crushed.
It is going to be quite challenging for Nihal. He did play against Duda earlier this year, and unfortunately Duda beat him 3-0. So this is very much a revenge story here in the making.
That's right, revenge in the making. It seems like we have revenge written on every single matchup that we've had so far, but these 2 Titans are ready to battle. They're ready to take the stage. One moves forward, the other has their key crush. It's going to be Jan Krzysztof Duda versus Nihal Sarin on the stage just behind us.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our first qualification match right now. Tournament life on the line, of course, and the winner of this match will be back tomorrow in the playoffs, in the top 8. On the right side of your screen, you can see Nihal Sarin. He beat Wei Yi earlier. This format is his home. He's known for his speed, his accurate calculation, and his calm decision-making under pressure. He did it once today. Can he do it again?
And on the other side, we have Jan Krzysztof Duda, who has been one of Poland's leading chess players for more than a decade, becoming a grandmaster at only the age of 15. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, they're about to go to war as only one will qualify for the playoffs. It's time, Jan Krzysztof Duda versus Nihal Sarin.
What an entrance! And we have our very first decider. I'm Yovi, and joining me here to call off the action, it is my good friend Grandmaster Ben Feingold, and we are ready for the action that is gonna come.
Yeah, today's my favorite day of the competition because it's key crushing day, Yovi. Everybody gets their key crushed when they lose a match today, and this is one of the decider matches to see who plays tomorrow. We have one of my picks, Nihal Sarin versus Duda. This is one of the few matches where I don't think there's a big favorite. Their ratings are pretty similar. Their strengths are pretty similar. And I think probably Nihal is more known for his speed than Duda. Duda's also fantastic.
I think I'll be back. I mean, the device, I mean, it will be back, I think, but I'm just buffering slowly. क्या करूँ इसका खोल के पूरा लगा दूँ This is only watch, no party. So what do you want in party, bro? What do you want in party? What's wrong with the internet, lol? पता ना क्या होगा इनको It's buffering. It is stopped for some reason. Let me get it back if possible. What is wrong with it? I wanted to watch Nihal game, man. What is wrong with it? Come on, I want to watch Nihal Sarin. Wait, let me get my mouse connected and then we'll figure out what's wrong with it. There are so much of frame drops.
The engine says it's about equal. Both sides playing very solid this game. Nobody really has made a big threat. There's no pawn breakthroughs. It's not easy to decide what to do. Usually in positions like this, I take too long and I try to figure out where to put my pieces and I get in time trouble. Okay, I like what Nihal did, and maybe he will play my idea, knight e8 to d6. Although white's playing knight c5 first. So probably black has to play... Oh wow. That wasn't on my analysis board. Wow. Playing g5. Okay, but again, the queens are moving a lot, Yovi, and Nihal wants it to move again.
Exactly. And ready to jump in. So still really tense as the players try to find the right plans just to annoy their opponent as the queens come off the board. And the big question for white is, yeah, you jump in with the knight, lovely knight right there, happy in the heart of black's position. But what next as Nihal just moves the king up the board? Because I'm expecting Nihal to eventually decide that that knight is no good and drop his own knight to challenge it.
That's right. And you can play knight d7 later, as you pointed out, to do that. White has two plans in this position. White can play either f3, e4 and advance to the center, or white can play on the left side of the board again and play b4, a4, b5, the so-called minority attack. But Nihal immediately played the idea you suggested, knight d7. Get rid of that knight on c5, it's too good. And the position looks pretty equal. White doesn't want to trade. White played knight b3. It's really hard for white to envision either plan working now with f3, e4, or b4, since the knight on b3 isn't really very well placed. I think the knights can go on the left side of the board. Grandmasters will draw to play the next game. And I was thinking knight c5, knight d7, knight b3, knight f6. But instead, finally, maybe his headset's off again, Nihal's playing my plan. I can't believe it. after I said the plan like 5 times, and Nihal said, no. Ben Feingold likes that plan. That's not what I'm doing. He finally decides to put the knight on d6, where it controls a lot of the squares on both sides of the board. Duda played one of my plans, f3 to play e4. That's why he played rook c3 earlier, defending his knight on b3, because the black bishop on e6 could be hitting that at some point. And the question is, now that Duda has played f3, is he going to play e4 right away and try to bust open the center? Or is he going to play the knight back on c5 now that the knight can't get hit by the black knight? So very interesting choice for Duda. Knight c5 or e4, those are the 2 most likely moves. Although I'm saying that, so he'll probably play a third move.
We never know what's going to happen. He could even be super patient and just step up with the king and go, hey, you know what? I also have the right side of the board where I can start challenging. And I got to say, for Nihal, he finally saw the light, Ben. He put his knight right where it should be going. It's a beautiful square for that knight. But like I say, Nihal very much playing the waiting game. He has to wait. Oh, look at that.
King f2, you were right.
Comes out, and now the knight goes on the edge of the board where we have the saying, and the question mark appears. Knights on the edge, fall off the hedge. Knight on the rim, oh damn, dim.
I've never heard falling off the hedge. That's a new one for me. I like to say knight on the rim, better for him, better for the opponent. I wonder if Nihal is going to play f7 to f5 at some point to prevent white from ever playing e4, or if he wants to keep the f5 square open for a bishop trade with something like bishop f5. So I'm not surprised by anybody's moves. Knight on a5 to keep the black rooks tied to b7. The king comes up. The rook on c7 defends the pawn on b7. So black puts the rook on the half-open file. Now white is playing the minority attack on the queen side, wants to try to play b4, b5 at some point. And very double-edged position with a lot of maneuvering going on. Both players still have a lot of time. Both players have a low heart rate compared to some matches we saw earlier today. I pay attention to the heart rate a lot because I don't see that very often. Bishop c8, pretty passive move, but now black can double rooks on the e file and put pressure on that e3 pawn that was weakened when white played f3. So Nihal has some initiative also. Basically, white's only plan on the queen side is to play b4, b5. Once black double, and he just played b4. Once black doubles rooks on the e file, I assume he'll play rook ce7 now, which he did. Now it's hard for white to play b5 because black has it protected so much. So both sides are doing what they want to do, and that's why the engine says it's about equal. The times are about equal, and this game is going to be decided when both players have about a minute left, and we'll start seeing some mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you. It might be decided then, or if the players could decide to halve out and kind of find a way to repeat. Not that going to be that easy with so many minor pieces on the board. Remember, the players are not allowed to offer a draw until they've passed a lot of moves. We're already on move 34, by
That's
the
right.
way.
Getting close.
We are getting close, and the clock is ticking down as we're seeing some decisions. Okay, maybe this is a draw offer, saying, hey, let's repeat with the bishops. And Duda says, no, I have a handle to respect. Polish fighter, I'm going to keep on going.
Yeah, white has a idea to play knight c5 again, knight a5, knight c5. But again, only way for white to break through on the queen side is to play b5. But that's going to involve a pawn sacrifice. And usually, before we give a pawn away for nothing, we have to think a long time, which we don't have in this match. If white doesn't play b5, both sides can't do very much. And the only question is Nihal going to go for it and play f4 and try to get his own play with knight f5, putting pressure on the e3 pawn? Or is Nihal, does he think it's sufficient to just shuffle back and forth, keep the tension, and try to get him in the time trouble? Because that's where Nihal is his best when both sides have a minute left. Then Nihal is probably the favorite.
Yeah, Nihal is quick, as we saw. But I got to say one thing. In all my experience of playing chess and commentating, there's only so much that a player can be patient. At some point, they will crack. They will get fed up, and they will start to open up the position and initiate action.
This is a really good game for my students because I've been complaining the whole tournament. White plays h4, black plays a6, and I'm like, what is this? This is move one. What's going on?
Yeah.
And now both sides are playing the plans that I like. Black's playing knight d6, black plays f5 stopping e4, black doubles rooks on the e file, white plays a4, b4, knight c5 playing on the queen side. This is exactly what I suspect. And in some of the games, if my students are like, how come white played h4, a4, knight h3? And I'm like, I don't know. That's not the way I'm teaching you guys. But this game is a very teachable game. Both sides are playing the kind of moves you expect them to play. I expect black's going to play bishop c8 here to stop the trade on d7, because then white could try to play b5 more easily. And white probably doesn't want his rook on e1 since it's pinned on the e file, so he might play rook b1 soon. Oh, he played knight d3, which also defends his rook. Maybe the knight's going to e5.
Exactly, and I think that knight is going to centralize itself, but definitely one thing is clear, the players are following the rule book. They're playing in very traditional style, they're finding those good squares for the pieces, and now here, see that knight, that white knight is a big thorn in black's side. I'm expecting Nihal to not waste too much time on the clock and just offer up a trade, retreat his own knight, move it back and say, I want that knight gone, and then Duda has to consider whether he wants to make that trade or whether he wants to reinforce that knight and concede his own squares. But no, actually, I'm seeing something completely different.
The bishop's going to happen, guys.
Just appearing, but I'm guessing at some point Nihal will decide that knight in the middle is bothersome. But Nihal keeping me guessing as he's moving the rook.
He can only get decided.
Rook A8, a very unusual move. He's preparing for b5. White plays b5. He wants to take with the a pawn, get the open file for his rook on a8. He figures if white doesn't play b5, white doesn't have very much. And eventually, Nihal did do what you suggested, knight f7, getting rid of the knight on e5. White played f4, a very double-edged decision. Now Nihal can go back to d6, which he did before I said it, but I was about to say it because he wants to go to the e4 square. The knights are having their say, e4, e5. Black is doing everything he can to stop white from playing b5. He played bishop d7, knight d6, a6. He put the rook on a8. So the a file will be open for black if white ever plays b5, and white played b5. Nihal did everything he could to stop b5, and Duda played b5 anyway, because it was the only way to break through in the center.
He lost patience. He was slowly grinding things away, and then he had enough. He was like, let me just open up the position. And as a result, we now have a trade of rooks, and now Nihal is up a pawn. It's not much of a pawn because it is doubled, and they are all isolated, but it's still nonetheless a pawn up for Nihal as the clocks tick down to around the 2-minute mark. And for Jan Krzysztof, it's not going to be easy to actually even win one of those pawns back.
That's right. Probably he's thinking about playing rook c5. Jan Krzysztof is shaking his head. So whatever he had intended after the trade on b5, he decided he didn't like it. Shaking his head again. Times are finally Nihal's ahead on the clock.
It's not
the engine says it's about equal. White's a pawn down. White has the magnificent knight on e5. Black has all these isolated weak pawns, but black is a pawn ahead. Black has a knight going to c4. Black has a knight going to e4. And instead, he took the bishop on d7. He wants to win his pawn back right away. The b5 pawn isn't long for this world.
This will be 1-0 first,
but he couldn't take the pawn right away because the knight e4 checked. That's why he played
Black
king
is under full
f3.
control.
But I
There is
gotta
nothing
say,
going to
look
happen.
at the way that Nihal is with the black pieces cementing the position together. He's like improved his king into the center. He can even boot away that rook from his beautiful square. And suddenly that extra pawn is gonna start to count. And the knight
There is
is
no
such
play
a
for white.
wonderful piece. It can jump into all of those holes. Okay, bishop takes pawn. Excellent move from Duda as the clock ticks down to 1 minute 33 seconds. I'm expecting Nihal to activate the rook, get those good pieces moving.
Yeah, things have changed a lot since about a minute ago. Basically, white's knight on e5, which was magnificent, is now gone. Materials equal. Black has a passed pawn. It's difficult for white to do anything because white's bishop can't really ensconce itself anywhere in black's position. Whereas later in the game, black can play something like knight c4, knight e4, or advance that b pawn. Black has some ideas. Duda's shaking his head still. Duda has less time on the clock. Things are turning around a little bit. Things have been going in black's favor the last few moves. And both sides have about a minute now. It's going to really start heating up soon.
And this is exactly why Nihal has made that offer of a trade of rooks. He's like, let me get into this position where there's no risk for me to lose. And I can use that knight to absolutely annoy white. That knight is going to jump all around the board.
Now you're going to see Ghoda.
Nihal is the one who's going to easily be able to improve his position.
Yeah, the engine says it's equal because it knows if white defends
not equal.
perfectly,
It's not
that
equal.
white should
It's
be
not equal,
okay.
guys. Time
Duda
scramble is
eyeing
there.
the f5 pawn, trying to put his bishop on c8, keeping black's king tied down. Nihal says, no, you can't do that, knight d6. No bishop c8 for you. And we could see repetition here, or we could see Nihal try to play for a win, but Nihal's taking a lot of time on his clock trying to figure out a way forward. He plays h5.
He does. And one thing I got to say is that you do put a pawn on the light squared, and guess what weapon that white has is a light squared bishop. So that pawn could be a vulnerability as the knight does improve itself. And we're seeing Duda left to wait with the bishop. I'm expecting this one actually to fizzle out to a draw now.
Time is
Yeah,
bad
Nihal
for
better
Nihal,
watch out. He's
actually.
got 25 seconds left.
25 seconds only.
So
One.
and Duda might try to
2x
win with
time.
the time that Nihal has on his clock, just that white
Nihal
can't do
should be
anything.
fast.
Okay,
Otherwise
he's still
there'll be
trying to
big
win
trouble.
because he sees the time situation.
Well, hang on a second here. Look at this bishop. It's suddenly got its eyes on the black pawns, and the B pawn is advancing. But is the white king going to step forward, or is
I
it
think
just...
if king b4, I can play knight takes
I love this
g3,
Yes.
and then h4 and break through on the king side.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're seeing Duda getting a little bit frustrated, but everyone watch the clocks. As we see the bishop being captured, is now trapped on the edge of the board, and the white king is coming in. Oh, this one is tricky.
guys,
It's
draw.
gotten sharp with no time left on the clock. Which one's stronger, the pawns or the knight?
Draw.
The engine says equal, of course, because the engine always does that to us.
Draw.
It is equal as we're seeing the white king move
It's
up
still
the
is a
board.
draw.
And
5
No
seconds
win,
left
no
for
win, no
Nihal.
win.
Oh,
Oh,
a blunder
finally.
of the pawn. Now black is winning. Oh, now
Black
it's
should win
equal
now.
again.
It's
Oh,
well, look, 3
One-
seconds.
one
2
second.
seconds.
Time
Nihal's going to get flagged.
Oh no! Wow.
Plus it's repetition.
No, it's repetition.
Oh, he had to not play king e6.
Draw,
He's
draw,
pretty
draw,
upset at
draw.
himself. He had to play king d4, king d3,
No
and
problem.
win on
Black
time.
got a draw.
Wow.
Now it's
Yeah, he didn't mean to
white.
repeat 3 times. That was an accident.
That was an
Oh, no.
accident, but there was a very real possibility that Nihal was going to get flagged.
Yes. Yeah, it
Wow.
looked like he was going to get flagged for sure.
Oh, no.
And,
That was
and
so
he accidentally
weird.
repeated for the third
Both
time.
of the players will not
actually
be happy
happened to
with
me
the
2 weeks
results.
ago on my stream. I actually repeated for the third time by accident when my opponent had 1 second left. So I know how Duda feels.
Yeah, and flagging is certainly an honourable
Oh,
part of the game. As we see our players getting ready for game 2. And this time it'll be
Duda saves this,
Nihal
guys.
with the
Otherwise
white
Nihal could have won.
pieces. Jan Krzysztof Duda.
Nihal just got a
Could be
little slow
feeling
in
a little
the
bit angry with
when he had like
himself.
50 seconds.
Yeah, that was an up and down game. It was pretty equal. Both sides had their advantages. It seemed like at some point Nihal was actually winning, but he had less than 10 seconds left. So, okay, now Nihal has white in the second game.
Nihal got slightly slow. Otherwise, he could have won the game. Yeah, Gora never dies.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for today, is some key crushing. Wait, we had a key crushing about 25 minutes ago that was really loud. It was a scary key crushing.
It made us all jump. We'll see whether this game makes us all jump. Will it make us...
Now Nihal will be with white pieces and Duda will be with black pieces. So Nihal can, if get the win with white pieces, then Nihal is going to win this, and Duda keys will get crossed. But let's see what is going to happen.
Strategy from Jan Krzysztof
The game
Duda.
has started.
And here we are seeing just development. Now, the big thing is later on in the game, do you think white will play this super aggressively, you know, flicking some attacks on the right side, or will we see a different type of game?
Yeah, this is a pretty solid game. This is actually exactly how I play with black against c4. I play c6, d5, and fianchetto my king bishop. And I've had these kinds of positions all the time. White played an early queen c2 to stop black from playing bishop f5. So black played g6. Black wants to play e6 and solidify the center, but doesn't want to block the bishop on c8. So a lot of times in these variations, black is super solid with that pawn structure in the center and trades off the 2 bishops, getting rid of his white squared bishop, which will be blocked by the pawns on white squares. White takes on d5. That's a little unusual after playing queen c2. And black takes back. White's going to get the 2 bishops now, unless Nihal changes his mind and retreats. No.
No, and the argument that Jan Krzysztof is making is that, well, the pawn structure is almost symmetrical, and in those kind of locked positions, knights are actually not that bad. And one thing that we see is that the knight's getting maneuvered, and look at this, he knows
The
the
same
Ben
maneuver as
Feigl
last. I was just going to
rules.
say it too, but he played it first. Same maneuver as last game, knight e8 to d6.
The position is
Sometimes
closed
in
for a
these
while.
positions, white tries to get the knight to d3 also, but that's hard to do in this position. And a big practitioner of Black's play in this position is American Grandmaster Gadakomsky. He likes to play G6 and Slav variations, maneuver around, move those knights around, keep the position blocked, and slowly outplay his opponent. We're not going to see a super exciting sacrificial game here. It's going to be much like the first game where they're maneuvering around. White has the two bishops, but the bishops aren't very active. Black is super solid. Black got rid of his white squared bishop, which would have been blocked by all those pawns. Every black pawn is on a white square. That's what you do when you have a dark squared bishop.
That's what you do if your name is Jovanka Hauska as well. Put your pawns on the light squares as well.
A Carol-Com practitioner, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And well, what's an interesting position here is that Black does have a few plans. And this one's the most natural, which is just pile up the rooks on the C line and then just wait and see for what White will do next. Because I've got to say, this queen out there, this white queen is out there on a limb, and it feels like she has to be a little bit careful.
Mm-hmm. You don't get your queen trapped. So yeah, the queen has to be careful. Sometimes black can get b5 in, and queen takes a6 is too risky. Then the white queen can't really go back to d1, well, they must have heard us. They heard you, Yovi. They said queen c2, queen's going to go hide on b1. There's going to be some trades on the c file. If I was a betting man, I would say Armageddon is coming.
Yes, and indeed, I think you are giving good advice. As we're seeing, is a very close position. Again, a very classical pawn structure. Everything is locked up, still a lot of maneuvering. And it marks a difference, actually, from games that we've seen in the past, as you kind of alluded to. Some of them have been wild from the get-go, and this one kind of feels like this could have come from the 19th century.
Mm-hmm. Hey, b5, something's happening. I thought the only thing that could happen is if one of the players decided to open up the center with e4 or e5, but that gives you an isolated pawn. So instead, black decided to play b5, get some space on the queen side, make knight c4 more palatable, and gain some space for those knights to come in and the pawns to go forward. The problem with b5 is it weakens the c5 square. So if black ever plays b4, white can play knight a4 to c5. So I don't think black's going to make any more pawn moves on the queen side. Once again, Duda looks like he's unhappy. Played bishop d3, he shook his head, then played bishop f1, one of my favorite moves. White's playing chess 960, putting all of his pieces on the back rank in strange fashion, getting ready for anything black can do. But those bishops, which don't look very good now, they can become strong later if the position opens up. That's what Duda's waiting for.
Exactly. Like, Nihal's playing so provocatively with all the pieces in the back row that you kind of be tempted to kind of go in the aggressive, start advancing pawns on the right side of the board, especially because the white queen is offside. But Krzysztof Duda, very patient. He drops the knight back. What do you want?
Nihal wants to say, come on, Duda, come on, beat me. Because Duda is having a good position in this position for sure. And Duda has to bring an attack. Otherwise, it is just going to be a draw. So black is better, and black will get an attack, and then white has to defend. So black has all the play here.
C3 idea, or knight d3 idea, by playing knight f4, knight d3. And because black played b5 so early, the c5 square can't be defended by a pawn anymore. And Nihal must have expected that and played bishop h6. He says, Duda, if you play knight f4, I'm going to capture that knight and ruin your pawn structure. And my knights have squares, but your bishops are pretty passive. So I'm hoping white plays knight f4 because I want to see two knights versus two bishops. That'll give us something to play for. But I don't think Duda's going to do that because Nihal's not going to do that. Nihal has white. Instead, they trade rooks on the c file. And, he played knight c1. That's why he traded rooks. He's going to get his knight to d3 by hook or by crook. And eventually, black is going to be slightly worse if white can ensconce his knight on c5.
Yeah, and we're seeing Nihal. I'm going to say that in the battle of the maneuvering game, I'm going to say that Nihal has a tiny advantage because at least he has a very clear plan. That bishop that wasn't doing anything, the dark square bishop, now it's kind of going to come in and start eyeballing a knight and a queen. And also, as you indicated, that knight at the minute is almost stuck at home, but in two moves is going to jump in onto a square on the fifth row.
Again, if you're just joining us, this is not chess 960. It looks like that's what white is doing, but Nihal just maneuvering his pieces, trying to get to good squares. Duda's trying to get good squares for his pieces also. C4 for the knight, E4 for the knight. But it looks like
I can't mute them, kind of. That's the, agreement, kind of. So I can just watch them. Sometimes I can speak. I think completely muting them and doing my own commentary is not allowed, I think.
Is that we are advocating that white has done everything well with all the pieces on the back row.
That's right.
Now, don't try this at home. This only works because the position is closed, and also there's no tension in the center between the pawns. So in that case, it's all about just maneuvering your pieces and giving them good squares. In comes the knight, give it one more move, and it's going to jump up. So this is why Jan Krzysztof said, nope, not happening. And the big question now for Jan Krzysztof and for Nihal is what next? How is Nihal going to open up the lines? Because bishops, they want open positions.
a friend of mine in Michigan used to jokingly say, don't put your pieces in the center. They might get hurt there. So white put all the pieces on the first rank, and eventually they'll come to the center. The bishop on A5, that's the most active that bishop has been the whole game. Bishop A5, bishop B4, much stronger than on E1. The black knight goes to C4. The engine doesn't like it because white just kicks the knight away. And white's going to have the C5 square, but black doesn't have the C4 square, advantage white.
Yeah, and this could be potentially last game of the match. Whoever wins this one goes into tomorrow's quarterfinals. You lose, that's it. Your key gets crushed in the most brutal fashion.
Yeah, it was really loud the last time. Maybe we can get an even louder one. You don't want your key to get crushed. And my opinion is that's why Magnus likes this tournament so much. I think not only does he like the prize money and he likes beating his opponents, I think he likes crushing keys. I know I would like that if I was playing. Of course, I wouldn't crush anybody's keys. I get my keys crushed. That's why I'm not a participant. But if I could crush somebody's keys, then I would join the tournament in a heartbeat.
Well, I'm not sure I would enjoy the key crushing, but I agree with you. It's certainly fun to watch. And as Jan Krzysztof Duda considers how to actually find any good squares for his knights. Look at them. They are working against each other. They're both fighting for the same square. So that's why the bishop drops back. And now, what even to suggest? Maybe the knight's actually attacking that pawn on the edge of the board. Watch out, Jan Krzysztof Duda. There is a knight in town.
Yeah, Duda's unhappy with his earlier B5, which weakened the dark squares, weakened his A pawn, and he didn't get control of the C4 square. But he keeps retreating. Bishop F8, knight B8. This is why these are super grandmasters. They're really good at using the back rank and defending and attacking by maneuvering their pieces that way.
This game was so
and
weird,
now,
actually.
I actually like white's bishops. Bishop
And
on
the
F1,
commentators are not
bishop on
explaining enough in my
A5.
point of view.
They're
Like
both
being a
doing
grandmaster,
something.
Benjamin
The
Fangol is also
question
not explaining too much.
Is white ever going to get a chance to
Actually,
play
it is very
A4
much,
and attack the queen side? Or
tough
does black
position to
have that
handle.
too well defended with the queen on E8 and the knight
Only
on
a super
E6?
grandmaster can
White
actually
can't open it up.
describe this
Neither
position.
side's
There
gonna
is so
open
much
the
going on
center.
in this.
I think at some point, white just...
At some point, white had all the pieces on the back
sacrificed a
rank
piece to
and
win
then
the piece back. Now he's
black
pawn
also.
up. I didn't see it. That was too simple a tactic. Both sides saw it, but I missed it.
It was there, and it was courtesy of that knight that was loose that white had, and that's why it's gone. But it has come with some consequences, because look at the black queen, look at the black rook. They are primed and ready to take control over that line. And the big question as black, I think black, you have to play super.
I think these grandmasters, I mean, even Benjamin Feingold, who's a grandmaster, is also not explaining enough. This position is so complex that it really needs some super grandmaster explanation. I can also not explain a lot of what is happening in this game. All of the pieces of white are going on the back rank. Black is also putting wherever they want the pieces. The position is getting so complex, and it's very weird what is going on. Like, this is very high level chess, I think. I'm myself not able to understand anything what is going on in this game. I'm just looking at the pieces and they're somehow weirdly placed everywhere. I don't know what to say about this position. So yeah, here the grandmaster commentary kind of. Maybe later we'll have some fun. Maybe we'll get some people, some of you in the Discord. We can get like, let me turn on the Discord actually, and you can join the VC probably. The position is so weird and complex that it's very hard to explain for anyone.
Is still trapped.
Yeah, and that's actually something that is going to worry Nihal with the white pieces because the bishop completely trapped. So that's why he came in with the queen, giving us a smile there. Judah getting active, that queen attacking the rook, attacking the pawn.
Still, there is a collision. I think there should not be any collision right now because whenever I'm trying to speak, I'm completely muting them. So is that still there is still a collision? Right now, where I'm speaking, I'm muting them kind of for a while.
Then if we get to trade for that bishop, we'll have opposite color bishops where white's pawn majority isn't really very important because those pawns can't move. It looks like Judah's gone from a pawn down with a worse position to an equal kind of position, an equal game. And I think Judah's okay now. Judah's catching up on time. The last few moves have gone in black's favor. Black sort of lost a pawn, but kept his equilibrium about him. And now it seems like he's doing reasonably well.
Well, look at this. I was talking about moving the rook. Hey, there is something in town called the counterattack. The queen comes up, attacks the rook. Nihal now says, okay, I'm going to move it. And again, the question for white. How are you going to move that rook? Where are you going to go? Going to go to the corner? Are you going to go to the middle of the board? You don't have too many squares. Or maybe you're just going to continue with the pattern. My queen and your queen are going to attack each other's rooks.
That's right. Looks like it's
Perfect
repetition somehow. Both sides
Exactly.
can do repetition.
Okay, he moves the rook.
Yeah, now we could play queen to d2, and we could keep attacking the rook. Repetition, Armageddon. It's all going to happen pretty soon.
Well, hang on a second here, because if you do capture that pawn, there's that knight that is on the edge of the board, and it doesn't have too many.
Right now, I'm in a VC of my Discord server, so maybe you can join, but I don't know what to do by joining. We can talk some things, but it's very hard to explain these positions. I mean, I'm able to see the Grandmaster is also not able to explain a lot. So what can I?
The b4 pawn is attacked. The knight's on the back row. White has the two bishops. White has the extra pawn. Still advantage to Nihal. Judah's trying to figure out the safest way to play. Very interesting. I think he's going to take on a2. I think you have to take that pawn.
Oh, but I think that Nihal is being sneaky here, because if you take on a2, then there might be problems with the black knight, and young Krzysztof Duda is just thinking, how is he going to ask the questions? And in fact, I'm telling you, there's only two ways to hold this one, Ben. You have to come out with your knight, attack the bishop, or you can step back with the queen and attack the rook and keep the momentum going that way.
Defending the pawn.
Yes, those are the only two ways.
Wow.
If you do anything else, then Nihal Sarin will be winning.
This is a very long think with both sides having 3 minutes. He's been thinking over a minute this move, Judah. He's not happy. He doesn't like his choices. He has a big time disadvantage now. Doesn't look very happy. Things are going in Nihal's favor because Judah doesn't like his position anymore. Oh, and he makes
not the way.
Quite a bad move. Rook c8. Engine hates it.
This is not the way for start.
That is what Grandmaster has to say. Engine hates it. Doesn't say that what is the reason. Are you able to see that? I mean, how complex the person is going on? I am not able to understand, like, comprehend this game, what is going on in this game. Earlier game, I can explain, I understand, but this game, I'm not able to understand what is going on. What is the bishop doing on a5, and what is the coordination? The bishops are completely misplaced.
I guess he was worried about bishop c7. That's why he played rook c8. But now he's just a pawn down for nothing. Black has very little counterplay, and Black can't play rook c2 and double on the 7th because the knight on b8 needs babysitting. This is a pretty easy plan for White. b4, b5, b6. Advance that passed pawn. White can also play rook a1 to a7. This is a tough position now for Judah. It's looking good for Nihal.
Duda there on the brink, and I love your plan of activating your rook. Use all your pieces. That is one very nice way to go about this. You can also just advance your pawns. Past pawns are there to be pushed. And Nihal thinking, I think he's going to go for the rook. I think he's going to mobilize it. Such a natural move. He does it, Ben.
You're right, Yovi, again. Rook a1, the rook's going to a8 or a7, the passed b pawn.
Now I can explain this position actually what is going to happen. So White will be activating his rook and playing on the queen side with his bishop, queen and pawn and rook. Everything will be focused on the queen side, and this pawn will get pushed ahead. And meanwhile, Black has nothing to do. In fact,
Series of bad moves. He's now just giving a winning position to Nihal. Nihal can just come in with the rook, and a win for Nihal would mean that he walks into tomorrow's quarterfinals. It's a repeat of last year. He advances the pawn. Okay, the engine's is telling us not the most precise way, but hey, the engine's being pedantic. As the knight comes forward, what next? The rook can still come up the board, and you see it in the face of Jan Chistov. He's not happy.
No. Some people have poker faces in this tournament and some don't. Duda has no poker face. He's been shaking his head probably more than any other competitor this game. And Nihal seems like he's pretty happy. Ooh, rook a6. Hard to find a good square for the knight. Knight has to go to a terrible d8 square where it's trapped.
Yeah. I mean, if it has to go backward, either to its starting square or over to the d8 square, that's simply going to just invite the white pieces to start improving. They're going to take full control. And remember, Nihal has a passed pawn. Okay, backward knight move the queen because she was attacked. This is beautiful. Complete control on the position. And the rook and the knight sleeping.
Now, this is resignable because b5 is coming and rook a8 and b6. Okay. So he played desperation e5, trying to get something going, but that doesn't really help. Wants to get the knight to e6. But even if black does that, he has nowhere to go. White can just start taking the center pawns now.
And you can see the frustration there from Jan Chistov Duda. He had to just go all in. He had to act
Resignation is loading like within after like 20 seconds. I think there will be resignation.
forward, keeping an eye on the B pawn. He is fighting hard, but it's too late as the knight doesn't have any good squares to jump into the position to trouble white. The queen comes forward. Now you can just escort the B pawn, move it up the board, and sure, it comes thrown in checks. And watch the clock, everyone, because Jan Chistov down to 32 seconds, 50 seconds.
Oh, now white's threatening
Nihal.
b7. Uh-oh.
Beautiful move.
That's annoying.
Yeah, that's a pin that's going to be almost impossible to get out of. Queen moves
But
out.
still play b7 and queen b8 check.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
and
he
it comes.
did. And the game's going to end now. He's going to resign. He did resign. Nihal wins. Yay, one of my picks did well. I can't believe it.
Nihal Sarin is the winner, and he finds himself a spot into tomorrow's quarterfinals. What a match it was. It was tense, it was close at times, but in the end, Nihal Sarin is the winner. And for Jan Chistov Duda, it is goodbye. Keys are getting crushed.
He will be crushed, yep. That's the tough part of today, but that's every match today.
Now see that how the keys will get crushed. Like every key represents a player. So here one is going to get eliminated. I mean that was Duda. Duda is going to get eliminated, and Duda key will get crushed by Nihal.
Finals. Oh, that was a very tense game. A lot of maneuvering, very cagey stuff. And in the end, due to the time pressure and the fact that both players had so much tension in finding the right plans, in the end, it was some blunders, and Nihal is the winner.
Yep, very nice game, very controlled game. Taking advantage of Duda.
This game was so weird that I cannot explain. Up to like till there was very few pieces left. I mean at the end game when I spoke. Before that the game was pure middle game chaos. What are the accuracies? How they are scoring that high?
Parts of the EWC that aren't necessarily
96
chess,
and
but some
90?
key crushing,
How
I
are
hope.
the accuracies that high, man? It was so weird game. The game was so weird actually. I don't know how accuracy gets like 90 plus.
Away as Jan Chistov Duda must give his key away to the rightful winner. But of course, as Mr. Duda leaves the stage, can I please get a round of applause for Jan Chistov Duda? Nihal, I'm going to come next to you as well for a quick one. Congratulations, you're making it to tomorrow's top 8. Last year, you were there in that top 8, and that's where your path stopped. So what are your objectives for tomorrow?
Firstly, I'm just extremely happy to make the top 8 again. I'm happy I managed to play some good chess, just very tough matches, and yeah, I'm just right now I'm just very happy and relieved to pull through, and yeah, I hope to do well from tomorrow, but let's see.
And making it through the lower.
You can join the Discord VC. Like I'm in the VC there in Discord, so you can join there if you want. Play on bro, maybe you can join. Or anyone who is interested in Discord server, VC, you can join. We can talk some weird things. Other than that, I don't know what to do. We can watch. The game will be started. I think next game will be Lazovic versus Jan, otherwise Pranesh versus BOK. One of them will be get paired against each other, and that is what we are going to watch next. There will be some 5 or 10 minutes of these ads and nonsense.
And just like that, Nihal Sarin is in familiar territory, crushing his second key in a row. Congratulations. Once again, officially qualified for top 8, and now he knows how this process goes. It's tough to see Jan Krzysztof Duda being eliminated from the event, but in the end of the day, nothing is given, everything is earned here at the Esports World Cup.
Leon. Nice.
Cover the ears, Nihal. It is time for that pop.
Yes, sir.
Officially qualified for top 8, qualified for the finals as he fights and scratches and claws in order to hopefully lift up that EWC's 26 trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the highest level of play. Once again, congratulations. Let's keep things going with EWC.
Play is in our DNA. Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower.
Now I think Pranesh will be playing
Imagine an
against
entire city being built to supercharge it.
BOK, maybe that's the matchmaking, and after that,
powered by play.
maybe this Nepomniachtchi will be playing against Lazovic or someone.
Another match down, another key has been crushed. Jan Krzysztof Duda, unfortunately, will have an earlier exit than he wanted after playing the gentleman's agreement in game number 1. But for Nihal Sarin, he started the day crushing one key, then crushed another. He now pushes forward into the top 8. A job well done indeed.
Carlson will be playing tomorrow. I think Magnus will be playing tomorrow. Like yesterday, Magnus played some games. And tomorrow also there will be Magnus. So we can watch that. That will be more fun. Today it's just normal. As just a little bit lower than the top players playing. And the absolute top. It will be fun to watch Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Game number 1, the way it ended in the time scramble.
I mean, I think when you're playing a 10-minute, no increment time control, you have no increment. So, at the end of the game, right, when you have...
There you see Levi Roseman.
Maybe you go for the flag.
Not maybe. It's a completely unbelievable decision. I mean, in some ways I understand in chess, it's a royal game, and we don't like to win that way. But Hikaru won that way yesterday against Denis Lazovic.
Right.
There is no greater, disrespectful way to win than King and Rook versus King and Rook. If you do it in a regular pool game on chess.com, you are a terrible person. If you do it here, it's a completely different story. I cannot believe that happened. I don't know if that was on purpose or by accident, but either way, it's Nihal.
It felt like it was on purpose. I definitely think it was. I mean, going to the gentleman's agreement. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the Esports World Cup. I mean, we're talking quite literally life-changing money for some of these competitors. Why would you want to give up a game whenever you don't have to play your time? And he had plenty of time to play with.
Well, in my opinion, maybe there was a chance. He knows that Nihal Sarin is the 2026 Bullet Champion. And that is a title to behold. Nihal Sarin is notorious for being amazing at short time control. So maybe he was like, oh, he still has 2.3 seconds. That is 23 moves. Potentially he can still lose that game if he doesn't repeat the position.
There was a game last year at the Esports World Cup, which was Nihal versus, it was Anish Giri, and it was very similar. I think there was something like 2 seconds remaining, and Nihal managed to checkmate him because Anish blundered
2
his
seconds.
Queen. No, he checkmated him with like 0.2 or 0.1. He had to pre-move literally every move until the end of the game, and Nihal managed to do it. But I don't think that's why Duda did it. I think you have half a second to make a decision, and something just went wrong, But Nihal is here for a reason, and we see another person from the old guard go down.
That's right, old guard going down, but hey, Nihal Sarin going up. He is now top 8, officially crushing keys all game long. Now, we harped in on game 1. Game 2, though, there was a moment you wanted to have some extra insight on.
Absolutely. I think game 2 is the pivotal moment because, that is the game that Nihal won. But coming out of the opening, it was a very solid position. However, in this position, Duda is threatening the knight on b4. So, of course, Nihal here has to play knight takes a6 with that double exclamation mark, earning himself that brilliancy. And the reason this works is because the bishop on a5 is actually hitting the knight on b6, so Nihal manages to win this pawn. And throughout the rest of the game, we kind of saw Nihal playing around this concept of having an extra pawn on the queen side, eventually making a pass pawn and going on to win the game. So amazing play by Nihal.
With the white pieces, he is one of the best static players in the world. He really just gets a position that's very symmetrical, and then he just moves his pieces around. It's almost Magnesian, but like not there yet. And he's really tough to play when you have the black side. With the black pieces, Nihal is a completely different animal. Like it's like Jekyll and Hyde. He's like always doing ridiculous stuff with the black pieces, openings that you thought were never possible. But yeah, Duda got defeated by a vintage Nihal performance. And I mean, Nihal deserves to be with those final 8. But if you look at them, suddenly he goes from being the favorite in the matchup to an underdog.
So Levy's commentating.
It's kind of mind-boggling.
That's just how stacked it is at the Esports World Cup, right? And we love every bit of it. For Jan Krzysztof Duda, though, a tremendous performance. He made it here, which we must celebrate, but he had an earlier exit than he wanted, and John Sargent caught up with him after his unfortunate loss.
I'll be back within some minutes. Wait.
Jan Krzysztof, sorry to be talking to you under these circumstances. Talk us through that match and what happened.
Pranesh and BOK, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play well. Overall, I don't think I deserve to win with such a play.
Fun to watch then.
Okay, in the first game, I think I got slightly better position, but completely misplayed.
Might win easily.
I mean, it was like just 2-result game with better time, and I managed actually to get a bit worse, I think, at some point.
And
yeah, in the end, maybe I could try to plug him, but I don't think I would have succeeded, to be honest, because like it was pretty simple for him to play, like just go after my e3 pawn, and I mean it was also like, you know, everything was dependent for him, and like I mean probably he wouldn't have won the game, but I don't think probably you'd have traded. And in the second game, I mean, okay, it was fine, but then I played b5, a bit of a weakening move, and then at some point I completely lost coordination because I played like knight c4, it was super stupid, I think. Because after b3, I wanted to take on e3, but I just missed. I mean, I wanted to give up the piece for 3 pawns, but I just forgot he could have played like knight f2 and defend d4. And after that, I mean, it was. I just started playing randomly, to be honest. Like, I mean, I was worse and slow and worse all the time, and it was a pretty bad game.
The end of game 1 was potentially contentious. You had, I think, 10 seconds to Nihal's 2, but of course he's known for being extremely fast and being able to pre-move in that kind of position. You don't think that was enough time?
No, I mean, I think it was enough time for him, because last time I played against him, I mean, it was some like queen end game, like I had 15 versus 5 and I almost lost that on time, so I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have succeeded. I mean, maybe I should have. I mean, I just wasn't happy with my play. Like, even if I had won this game, okay, I mean, understand. It's better to win than not, but like, I think I should have, like, I mean, maybe not won, because it's not like I was winning, but like, should have pressed, like, I mean, do it over the board, to be honest, yeah, because like, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's a bit slow at times, but like, I mean, because I guess he's relying on his speed, but it's like, probably doesn't make that much sense, like, from his viewpoint, but I mean, again, it was enough for me, so.
Look, it's a brutal format, but also a wonderful tournament here at the Esports World Cup. Maybe reflect on your time here overall and what the tournament has been like for you.
Yeah, I mean, the tournament is nicely organized, obviously. I don't think I played particularly well. I mean, the first match was quite good quality, I mean, in terms of my play, but I mean, the last 4 rounds, I mean, 2 matches against Nadirberg and today were pretty bad, I think, and like, I don't know what didn't work out, but I mean, it's, you know, sometimes you are just. I mean, for instance, when I played Chess.com Open, I mean, I didn't do like anything in like special in particular, and I got super high. And here, I mean, I just didn't succeed. So like it happens, I guess.
It does indeed. And look, a lot of us, myself included, we're looking forward to seeing you come back bigger and stronger, and we can't wait to see you in action again soon. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, John, as ever, for the great interview. Getting a bit more insight as to what was in the mind of the competitor throughout that two-match game.
For sure. I mean, I think we have our answer there. Duda did not think that he had enough time to potentially flag Nihal, which, yeah, Nihal is very fast. He is the bullet champion for a reason.
He is, and there was a moment in the interview where he said, maybe I just lost composure a little bit and kind of just started moving randomly. I mean, the pressure on the stage is real.
That felt like a 3-minute therapy session. I really got a feel for Duda. I interviewed him in 2024 at the World Rapid and Blitz, and you could sort of tell he fell out of love with the game a little bit. And let me tell you, as a 30-year-old man, I can completely understand, who's been playing for 25 years. And I think he's a lot stronger than he maybe shows us, right? But it just didn't work out in this matchup, and I almost feel like he kind of quit on himself. He totally could have won that first game, but even he said, even if I won that game, I wouldn't have been happy with the way I was playing. But you would have won!
Yeah,
you would have won the game!
We had chatted a little bit pre-match that Duda had a bit of a rough period after winning 2020 World Cup, and then was a little bit too... felt the pressure a lot. So.
Yeah, the pressure's real, it is. And like you said, when you start reaching a certain age, you've been playing the game for a long time, sometimes you can fall out of love. I'm in my 30s, by the way, right there with you, man. So there's a lot of things that I'm falling out of love with. But not the B-Stream. Hey, the B-Stream, I'm still in love with it. Unfortunately, it came to an end, but they had 2 great matches, and we need an update.
Hey folks, update from the B stream. We've had some incredible matches here while I'm busy keeping the seat warm for whoever decides to pop in next later today or tomorrow. We first had Pranesh up against Benjamin BOK, an incredible series. We had a very sharp scotch in game number 1. Pranesh was able to win, and that meant BOK had to strike back immediately. He chose the English as his weapon of choice, and he managed to win game number 2, taking us to Armageddon, where Pranesh bid 6 minutes and 58 seconds, a very low time in Armageddon. Lost a port on the opening and then sacrificed another for the initiative. That allowed him to put more pressure back onto BOK, and that secured the draw he needed to advance. It was a beautiful series to watch. Then we had Alexei Sarana, Sina Movahed. So much going on there as well. Again, we had 2 decisive results, including a wonderful Sicilian going into another Armageddon. That Armageddon was something like 7 minutes 38. And Alexei Sarana there was an easy draw kind of position. He was very, very comfortably controlling the game, but he needed to win on demand. A draw was not enough. He kept trying to push. Ultimately, he couldn't quite get there, and Movahed ended up moving forward in the bracket. Very exciting matches today on the Bree stream. Back to you.
Thank you, John, for the update. I actually saw that being filmed live while they were still live. I don't know how you were in 2 places at once, but you're doing a great job. Next matchup, another qualification match, another key, potentially going to be Crush. Arjun Erdegassi going against Pranesh. This is going to be a battle for sure. And honing in on Erdegassi, a great competitor throughout his routes. He did, in fact, beat Nihal Sarin, who actually just, in fact, qualified on the very stage behind us. But he did lose to Alireza Faruja, to be expected, a player for Gen G. 4th place last year. He's coming in as a Titan.
He is incredible. We saw him last year at EWC, where he did unfortunately also lose to Alireza, but that was in the semifinals. So there is no way he can go home now, because he has to make it as far as that spot.
Yeah, I mean, #1 ranked player from India for a reason, and must be heartbreaking for him, by the way. He's got to knock out Pranesh to qualify, and then he also knocked out Nihal, who made it ultimately, right? But yeah, difficult task here for Arjun Erdegassi, but he's a clear favorite in this matchup. I mean, we saw Pranesh put some pressure on Nodirbek. Erdegassi and Nodirbek are at the same level, and it's going to be quite tough for Pranesh to overcome that.
Well, Pranesh is a talented player in his own right. Seoul Esports representative, beat Benjamin BOK a little bit earlier. He did lose to Nodirbek in day #1, but he snapped right back, like I said, to beat Benjamin BOK. Now goes toe-to-toe with Erdegassi. This is going to be a great matchup. 2 great orgs represented. Only one can move forward. Who else is going to enter top 8? Who's going to have their key crush? An epic matchup going down on the stage just behind us right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our next qualifying match. On one side, we have Pranesh, who is only 19 years of age and making his first appearance here at the Esports World Cup. With youth, talent, and fearlessness, he is looking to take it all the way.
And his opponent, he was 4th last year and he is looking to do even better this year. Has been knocked down yesterday that lower bracket, but now it's all in his hands as we are about to kick off the second decider match of the day. Let's get ready for Pranesh versus Arjun Erigaisi.
Wow, this is quite a face-off. We have Pranesh, just 19 years old, against Indian #1 Arjun Erigaisi. And on the line, it's a huge one. It's a place in the quarterfinals, a place in the top 8. And these two players are very capable, Ben, of bringing the fire to the board.
This is typical of the chess world. Arjun traveling all over the world to play chess at the highest level, and only gets paired with this countryman. But this happens to a lot of people, especially when you're from India, and a lot of the best players in the world are from India. We have several of them here. Pranesh, pretty big underdog against Arjun. Arjun been one of the top 2 or 3 players in India, right now #1 for many years. Pranesh just coming onto the scene, only 19 years old. It's going to be a Herculean task, if I can say that, for Pranesh to beat Arjun. And if Arjun wins, then both of our predictions were right from yesterday. We had Arjun and Nihal as our, not our dark horses, but as our second choice. And it looks like they're both going to be trying to play tomorrow. We saw Nihal already come through, even though Arjun beat Nihal previously yesterday. Now Arjun has to try to do the same that Nihal did earlier. He's playing Pranesh. I think pretty good pairing for Arjun. Arjun has to be pretty confident. And Arjun has one of the best heart rates in the tournament. He's a cool customer.
He's winning that championship hands down. Like yesterday, he made it down to almost 50. And that was really impressive. But I'm going to say, it's going to be super impressive and quite the story if Pranesh is the one that wins it. For Arjun Erigaisi, he's certainly the favorite in this match. Pranesh, 19 years old, did lose yesterday to Nordibek Abdusatorov. And today, he defeated Benjamin BOK, and now he has a huge test in front of him. It's his countrymate, Arjun Erigaisi.
Arjun has white in the first game, so he's the higher ranked player. He has the advantage of the white pieces. He's going to want to start off on the front foot, winning with the white pieces. Pranesh, as he's had trouble in previous times getting that headset on, getting that heart rate up right away. Got to get your headset on and make sure they can't hear us suggest all the brilliant moves, because then who knows would win the match. So, okay, it looks like the players are just about ready. Their technical difficulties are over. The players are about to start the game. Arjun has white. He's about to make the first move. Obviously, he's the favorite. Are we going to see a big upset this match with Pranesh, or is Arjun going to take it home? Let's find out right now as the game begins, knight f3.
And this is already, we're seeing Pranesh there with that pawn advance with the black pieces. He's saying, I want the game to be fire. Because we saw yesterday, Arjun Erigaisi was white. He was playing a slower game, maneuvering with full control. Now we have a battle on our hands. There's pressure on the left side of the board. And the question is, how is Black going to maximize the pressure? And Black has the center. And we're seeing that this has come at the cost of some time. Barely any pieces developed, whereas White, that is nearly all the pieces in action.
Yeah, Arjun sacrificed a pawn by playing a reverse Benko gambit. It's a Benko gambit with an extra tempo. That's got to help White. He's putting tremendous pressure on the d4 and e5 pawns. Black is getting the big center along with the extra pawn. The center's collapsing. Black's king is on e8. Arjun playing super aggressive from the get-go. Can Pranesh get his king to safety? And is he going to hold on to his extra pawn? Or is Arjun going to win it back right now with knight takes d4?
Yeah, taking the pawn is kind of standard, and it does happen. And for Pranesh, now he has to find a way to get his king to safety as soon as possible. So the bishop, I'm expecting to step in front of his king and skedaddle out of the dangerous e-line.
Yeah, Black had a nice center about 3 or 4 moves ago, completely obliterated. White won the pawn back. Now White's c pawn is a little bit weak. Black is ready to complete development by castling. moving out the bishop from c8, and then hopefully Pranesh hopes to equalize the position and get a playable game with black. If Pranesh can somehow draw the game with black, then he'll have the advantage of the match, having white the next game. So Pranesh probably reasonably happy with the opening outcome. The engine says black is okay. Arjun trying to find ways to mix it up and get an advantage, getting that past D pawn, which isn't very strong yet, up to D4 or D5 and build a big center, taking over from Pranesh's big center.
Exactly. Position is so unbalanced. It's going to be a question of whether white can actually start using the center. Also, the question for white is how to mobilize that knight there on the edge of the board. It's still at home. It needs to get moving so that the rook can enter the game. And so many diagonals available for the pieces. So that's the rook comes in, takes the open line, castles quickly. Pranesh playing very confidently. So yesterday, Pranesh was a little bit nervous against Nordibek Abdusattorov. You could tell in his play. And now we're seeing a different version. He's showing us that he means business. And I'm expecting the rook to come over and attack the bishop. And it's a game where every single move will matter.
That's right. And as we've seen with previous matches with Arjun, heart rate in the 50s. I don't know how he does it. I'd be a mess if I was playing. Black played very logical bishop e6, developing the bishop. Engine doesn't like it. I like your move, Yovi. Rook d8, putting pressure on the d line. White's pieces are all lined up there. I'm not sure why the engine doesn't like bishop e6. Maybe the bishop has better squares on f5 or g4. But bishop e6 really solid. Black's ready to move the rooks into the center, put pressure on white's backward d pawn. And looks like black is already at least okay. That's not the rook I thought he was going to move to d8. I thought he'd move the other rook to d8, but that shows you what I know. That's why I'm commentating and not playing. Bishop e5 attacking the queen. Queen goes to b6. Both players have a lot of time. And, oh, this is crazy. Oh, this is the first time I've seen it this whole tournament. The heart rate was under 50. It got back up to 50. I saw it say 49.
Wow.
So Arjun's pretty calm. Yeah, is Arjun asleep? Yeah, that's right.
Well, his posture and his thinking indicates no, because this position, you can't sleep on this one. You have to wake up. It's so sharp because first up, there is an attack against the pawn, and that's why he's advanced that pawn forward. I was a little bit nervous about doing this, primarily because I felt this bishop in the middle of the board could be vulnerable, and it is. Knight comes out, attacks that bishop, exclam. And I gotta say, in this type of position, bishops are going to be better than the knights.
That's right. Yeah, knight g4 is an excellent move. Looks like Arjun played d4 a bit too early. Now bishop has no retreat square, and you can't play bishop f4 because you're hanging your d4 pawn. So far, advantage Pranesh. He's really playing well. He's castled. He has all his pieces out. He's putting pressure on white center, and looks like d4 might have been a little too early. Arjun doesn't care. His heart rate is 48, 50. He's cool, calm, and collected. Although Pranesh looks like he's taking a nap. So he's also very cool, calm, and collected. Knight b3. White wants to have compensation for the two bishops by having those nice center pawns. Although that c pawn looks pretty weak on c4, Yovi.
Yeah, and I can tell you, it's already, you can take it, right? You can take it, but it wasn't chosen, and instead the bishop attacked the rook. Rook attacks in turn the queen. The queen has to step back, and there's like take happening. Queen drops back, and the rook is going to capture. So suddenly, I'm going to say black still has the advantage because the bishop pair there are such a magnificent force, and the position is going to be open.
There's going to be a lot of trades now. The b pawn's weak. The other b pawn's weak. The c and d pawns are weak. There's going to be a lot of captures. And I think that's going to lead to equality once all the pawns are captured. So, very reasonable position for both. Lots of tactics now. Lots of captures are going to happen. Arjun's trying to find a way for an advantage instead of trading all the pawns off. Arjun really doesn't want to draw since he's playing a low-rated player and he has the white pieces.
Yes, he wants to put the pressure right on the get-go. Drawing with the white pieces against an opponent that he is the favorite against is not going to be a great result. So this is why he keeps that tension on the board. But there's some risk here because if it all backfires, that rook out there in the wilderness has gone on a big walkabout, whereas the bishops, the black bishops, they're beautifully primed.
Yeah, the question is White going to play d5 soon? Is White going to capture that pawn on b4? Is the rook on b5 going to get trapped and White's going to be forced to sacrifice in exchange? Okay, so he did play d5. Seems like an obvious move. Of course, the engine doesn't like it. Engine never likes our human moves. But I probably would have played d5 immediately if I was playing a blitz game. My d-pawn's weak. d5 advances my pawn. It's very safe now. My knight has the d4 square. It's just too logical.
And you highlighted the storyline. Is my rook going to get trapped? And the answer for Pranesh is yes. Arjun's rook is going to get trapped because bishop back to d7, attacking the rook is incoming. There's also queen takes pawn in the air. Oh dear. Arjun took a risk and it might not pay off.
Bishop c3 was an excellent move, as Yovi pointed out. c4 pawn's now attacked. The rook is trapped on b5. The pawn on d5 is pinned to the queen. Black has the two bishops. This is looking ominous already for Arjun. Already has the worst position. I think he just overlooked bishop c3, and that's why the engine didn't like d5. Now Arjun goes all in, plays c5, making the game really murky, hoping his opponent can't figure out the complications. And in fact, the engine says Black only has one really strong move here, bishop to d7, attacking the rook. And we're going to see that pin take effect again. If he plays c6, we can just take it with the bishop. So is Black going to play bishop to d7 or make some other move like taking the pawn? He did play bishop d7, and the engine already likes Pranesh's position a lot more, and Pranesh has more time on the clock.
What if
Do we have an upset in the making, Yovi?
that will be
It
crazy.
looks that way, and I gotta say, the Indian
That'll be
school of
crazy,
chess
guys, if Pranesh
is all about
beats
calculation. They are not afraid of
Arjun.
making those
Wow.
ugly moves because there
With
is
black
concrete
pieces.
reasoning behind it. The bishop goes back, attacks the rook, and it asks the question, "What are you going to do?" And here he would have worked out. And look at him; he is working it out right now. What is going to happen after? Pawn
Arjun is in
takes pawn.
trouble, or no?
Where is the rook going to go to? And we're seeing Arjun attack the queen. I'm still going to say that this is you had to be precise there because you didn't want to allow this pawn to start advancing. And now here, Pranesh can relax. He can take. And here, this is the way you save the rook. But you saved the rook at the cost of a lot of material. Now the d pawn is falling for white.
Yeah, everything's pinned in this game. There's been a lot of pins for both sides. The bishop on c3 is pinned. Black is up a pawn. Black looks like he's threatening the rook, but the bishop is pinned to the queen. We could see an interesting trade, Yovi, if Black takes the two rooks for the queen, which in fact he could do now if he wants. He could take on b4 and then take on c6. Then White has the move queen e4, forking the two pieces. So maybe that doesn't work out for Black. That's what Pranesh is calculating. He advances his rook to e8, putting it on the open file, attacking the queen. Both queens are under pressure, but in the meantime, Pranesh has the extra pawn.
Yes, and I could tell you, I had a quick glance at the heart rate. Arjun is not 50 anymore.
Wow. That's the highest I've ever seen this
90,
tournament.
which for most of us is pretty calm. But for Arjun, he senses the pressure as the queen is driven backwards. And Ben, your idea is still there. You can take the rook. You can also say, hey, what is that queen doing next to its king? That maybe you have some other moves instead.
Yeah, I think Black could play queen f3 unless I'm blundering something, keep the pieces on the board.
Makes a lot of sense. Why go back when you can go forward? And there's also maybe some other possibilities with some tactics because the rook maybe drop back with the queen doubling on the D line and just getting ready to meet rook takes bishop with the rook coming down. That would be also really lovely. However, Pranesh, he's thinking many tempting options and sometimes it goes for your choice. Very natural.
This has been a funny game because Black had the big center with e5 and d4. That got decimated. Then White had the big center with c4 and d5, and that got decimated. Now there's no center pawns, and Black is just a queenside pawn up with a technical endgame, which likely should be winning, but with so little time on the clock, it's not easy to have perfect technique. Arjun's going to defend, hope to get the draw, and go on to game two. But it's a two-result game. Either Pranesh wins or it's a draw. Black has to save his queenside pawns, and number two, he has to get loof for his king with something like g6 or h6. Arjun's going to try double rooks on the 7th rank with rook on c1 to c7 and get counterplay against the f7 pawn. The question is, does black have enough power to win? He stopped rook c7 by making his bishop pretty meek on d8. That's not really where you want your bishop. But he's defending against rook c7. I don't like that move so much. I don't think the bishop's very good there.
Yeah, I didn't feel like this was the right direction to put the bishop because, after all, the rook could go all the way to the edge. But there was an issue with the white knight. It didn't have any good squares. It was being dominated by the pawns. But you know what? Arjun, he's a great endgame player, and he might be saving this, especially if the knight can find a role. So Arjun asking black, what are you going to do? Are you going to advance the pawn? Are you going to defend that pawn that's under attack? What is your next move?
Yeah, I was thinking black could play bishop b6, which he did play. White's going to try to get the knight to g5, put pressure on f7 and h7. Of course, the engine doesn't like anything. It says all the moves are wrong. I'm the engine. I know best. Doesn't like f6 either. Now it says white's okay.
That one, I'm on board with the engine. Normally, I disagree vociferously. But here I'm thinking it weakens that seventh line. And white can suddenly dream about just posting up 2 rooks on that row, and it's going to be deadly. Also, this knight is coming into the golden square. It's f5. Every knight belongs on that square. And here, it's going to come with power. And I've got to tell you, that pawn is weak next to the king.
It's funny, 2 of my rules are coming into effect. Never play f6.
Yes.
One of my most famous rules. The other one is, it's not knight f5, it's knife f5. So here comes the knight to f5. That's one of my emotes on my stream is knife f5. It's a picture of a knife going to f5 square. And I actually got that from Greek Grandmaster Vasilios Katronius before you were born. He said it's not knight f5, it's knife f5. So, but actually it wasn't around when you were born. It was 1984. So that was a long time ago. But Vasilios, I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's right. Knight f5 is almost always a good move. Arjun has really exciting rook on b7, putting pressure all over black's position. White has enough compensation with the activity to compensate for the pawn minus, since the queenside pawns aren't dangerous now, and white's king is safer than black's.
Wow.
And here comes knife f5.
Knife f5, and it will thrive. And we've seen attacking the pawn there. And the big question is, if black boots that knight away, where is the white knight going to go? Is it going to go to the edge of the board? Is it going to go all the way close to the king? Well, we're going to have those questions answered as, did you see that? That was quick.
Yeah, those guys play fast. They're here for a reason. I thought he was going to play one of the rooks to e7, the rook on e6. But then you could take the bishop and take the pawn, and white would be just fine. Black is still trying to play for an advantage. We're going to get into a drawn ending here if Arjun takes on e2 and takes the queen side, because the rook and the a pawn don't win against white rook. So white can bail out to a draw here by playing rook takes e2, rook takes b6, rook takes b5, give away the a pawn, put the white rook behind. Okay, but instead plays a much more aggressive move, a move I would never think of, giving the f2 pawn away with check. This is too complicated. All the pieces are hanging now. f2's hanging, b6 is hanging, f6 is hanging, e8 is hanging. It's much too complicated. Arjun's in his element. Of course, the engine doesn't care. It says
when Grandmaster says complicated, I don't know how to explain myself.
Crazy position here as the bishop is hanging, the rook is hanging for black, and Arjun has literally said, take my pawn. Not only take it, give it away with check.
Wow.
And wow, what is he?
All 3 results are possible now. White could get an attack against the black king. It's amazing. But yeah, let me highlight all these pieces that are attacked right now. We got the rook on e8 attacked by the knight, the pawn on f2's attacked. Why, he must have expected rook e7 because he immediately played this. And now we have a drawn ending.
Okay, now it's a dead draw.
And if anybody's better, it's Arjun. Arjun's going to attack the pawn. Black has to defend passively. White should play rook b4. The question is, now he has to lose the pawn. And now Arjun's going to play for the win. The ending is still a draw, but white has the better side of the draw.
I mean, it was complete turnaround, right? We had a little moment of chaos. We saw Arjun went into this endgame a pawn down. Now Arjun, in all of that confusion, is now a pawn up. Now this is technically a drawn position. but only Arjun is the one who's going to win this.
That's right. And that's why I tell my students, don't pay too much attention to the engine evaluation in some end games. It'll say 0-0-0, but every grandmaster in the world takes white here. White has an extra pawn. The engine knows it's a draw, but you know, if two club players are playing, then sometimes white's going to win.
Exactly. And what white is dreaming about is, first up, the rook is in front of his own pawn. If it can get released, it will be loved to be by the side. And some ideas that you can do is white can, at the right time, run with the king, try to do an
It's a dead
assist.
draw.
Now, that's normally comes
king
with
has to
great
be
risk
on
because in the process
G7
of
or
running with the
F7.
king, you do abandon your own pawns, and black is ready with his own pawns as well. They are
Mostly
just
G7 or F7.
waiting to be unleashed and advanced. But here comes the king.
Yeah, I didn't like Pranesh
White
playing
will try
King
to get its
F7.
king
Now it says
closer
King
to
G7 is a
black's
mistake, although
rook.
King G7 seemed like the obvious move.
Yeah, maybe it was just to force
There were
the
some
king.
winning
It's
chances
complicated stuff. These positions,
Hard
they're
to
not too
understand.
much material, so the engines are pretty good. They've got most things worked out. But this is apparently a misstep. One thing, though, you probably don't have time to take
Again,
that
white is
pawn
winning this
because
completely
here
because
comes
now
the
white
king.
can simply
This
march
is
up,
the
up, up,
plan
and up,
in
and
action.
white is winning
And
this.
it's all going to be about that A pawn as it becomes a queen.
Now the engine says white's winning. Again, it's a draw with perfect play, but it's hard to play perfectly with a minute on your clock. White had that extra pawn. Now material is equal, but white obviously has the winning chances with that strong passed pawn.
Yeah,
Pawn's
there
on
we
the
go. White
7th
wins
rank.
this.
Black has
Oh,
to
no.
try to get a passed pawn
So
himself,
weird.
which he does.
What?
Now the engine says black is drawing because F5 gives him a passed pawn also.
Exactly, and Arjun allowed that pawn break, and suddenly the
I don't
black pawns,
understand.
they have been
Why did white
unleashed.
did
They're
that?
able to create their own pass pawns, and it's going to be a race. You can even give up your...
Whoa.
Don't go backwards, go forward
That's
with
the
your
wrong
king.
way.
You needed to go
Yeah,
forwards.
king
Now
should
we're
simply
threatening
go up
rook
and king will
C6
hide
check,
on
rook A6.
B7.
Build
What
a
a blunder.
bridge.
B8.
Block
That is the square. King will hide and rook will go on
contact
B7.
with the
King
black
B8,
rook
rook B7,
with the
and
A
the pawn will
pawn.
promote.
Wow.
That is the general
Wow,
rule
this is over.
that occurs.
It's a good thing the engine's not doing the live commentary. I'd be really mad. Why are
Yeah.
you playing so bad? Yeah, check rook A4 and white
Comes
wins.
the block.
This is
And this
An
is
amazing turnaround. Black was a pawn up in the ending and ended up losing. It was a 2-result game, except that it wasn't. It was a 3-result game.
Yeah, and this is going to be super painful for Pranesh. Their queen takes pawn, and now there's going to be
Checkmate.
There we go.
checkmate
What
Good
there.
technique by
Checkmate.
Arjun. Wow.
And
You see the
Arjun,
checkmate
well,
pattern.
he might have used up one of his
Amazing pattern on
9
the board.
lives there. What a game!
Arjun
What
wins
a
with the white pieces, and there will
turnaround!
be next game
Clinching
very
it
soon.
in
It
a
will
rook
start with a
and pawn
minute or two.
endgame, going into that endgame originally, a pawn down, and just creating chaos. Arjun, the master of chaos, as it
Arjun did an amazing comeback actually. Arjun was in very big trouble in this game. If you see the position in the middle game, Arjun was in very big trouble, and Arjun got a very good comeback. He wins with the white pieces. Now there will be one more game, 10+0, with the black pieces, where Arjun will be with black pieces, Pranesh will be with white pieces, and that is what we are going to see, where Pranesh must win. That is the condition.
A lot of trouble, particularly Pranesh, of getting his key crushed today.
Well, he's on the edge because if he does not win with the white pieces, he is going home and his key will be crushed. For Arjun, he is just one draw away from the top 8 for the quarterfinals, and we're seeing from Pranesh, he's going for those tricky openings again. Up comes that little pawn on h3, not taking the
Bishop
center,
d3.
not doing anything, and going for a very unusual way of developing the pieces. Usually, Ben, I don't know about you, but I tell my students, don't put your pieces in front of their pawns.
Yeah, my students aren't allowed to watch this game. H3, A3, bishop D3. Don't play like this at home. But this is the way the players are playing. We saw actually white play H3, this exact position yesterday, and get a good position. But yeah, H3, A3, B4. White typically likes to maneuver the knight around to G3 with knight E2 to G3. Sometimes white plays knight D5. And again, the engine says it's equal, but Pranesh wants to get a long maneuvering game, give chances for Arjun to go wrong at some point, get into time trouble, not have anything happen too quickly. There's 2 ways of playing in must-win situations. One is to play wild and crazy, which Pranesh is not doing, and one is to play calm, sophisticated maneuvering where the game never ends and give yourself a chance to win over a long period of time. That's what Pranesh has chosen to do.
Yes, and your opponent is Arjun Erigaisi. Is this the right way forward to go for that very sophisticated, long-winded game?
Yeah, well, based on last game, I wouldn't play a tactical melee. Wow. Speaking of tactical melees, H5.
Well, he's just saying, hey,
C4.
I don't want you to grab any space on that side of the board. I'm going forward. By the way, this is English School of Chess approved. We all like the way that Arjun is handling the position. And now we're seeing Pranesh say, you know what, you work on the wings, I'm going to work on the center. As the rooks come, maybe got ideas of dropping that bishop back, and then at the right time, breaking with d2, d4, catching the opponent on the wrong foot. Oh, what's this? This is very provocative.
A5, H5. A FIDE master friend of mine in New York City told me when his opponent plays knight e2, he always plays H5. That way when the knight goes to g3, he can play H4 later. That's exactly what happened this game. Pranesh saw black playing H5 and A5 and decided to play in the center by moving the bishop away from d3 and playing d4. The engine likes it. White's actually breaking in the center. White's king is very safe. It's not clear if black has a safe place for the king. Hopefully, black's going to castle queenside, play g5, and it'll be super exciting.
And I was going to say, that's my favorite thing in chess, and it's happening right here on the board. Arjun Erigaisi just needs a draw, and he's like, you know what? I am not going to go to the king side. That's exactly where all the white pieces are pointing. It is the queen side to the left side of the board. That is where I'm headed, and this is gutsy chess. It actually was the best move, by the way. You needed to do that with the king, and now we are all systems go, complete chaos. All three results possible.
Yeah, Arjun doesn't play for the result of a draw when he needs a draw to win. He wants to win the match, choose 0, wants to play the best move. He wants to play the move that meets his style of chess. And castling queenside, that's just Arjun's style. Pranesh has to be happy with a double-edged position, which is most likely to be decisive, because a draw is no good. If Pranesh draws, he loses the match. He needs to win the game. He's got a complicated position. The engine says white is a little bit better. White has chances to get a knight to f5 or maneuver his knights around and get one to d5. Instead, he plays queen d2, a natural-looking move. Of course, the engine doesn't like it. Engine never likes our moves. And now it thinks that Arjun is doing quite reasonably well.
Yeah, the engine is a mystery because it said if you went a little bit to the left with the queen, you would have been slightly better. But because you've gone into the middle, that's it. You are worse because of this move. The knight jumps. And I did see Arjun's heart rate almost make it to 3 figures. Is now back to 83, and we're seeing Pranesh. He is in a spot of bother because that knight is nicely centralized. And the big thing is, because it's opposite side castling, the king's opposite side of the board, it's going to be all about cracking open a line for, I call them the big guys, the queen and the rooks, to start infiltrating.
Well, if I was white, I would have defended my c-pawn, but that's why I'm not white. I'm here doing commentary. Instead, the players play super aggressive, counter-attacking style, activating their pieces. White doesn't mind if black takes the c-pawn, because that opens lines to black's king.
I'm just
and
watching,
white wants the game to be
what is going
double-edged,
on here.
doesn't want to play passively and defend, wants to play aggressively. And Arjun maneuvering his knights around to the dark squares, wants to put the other knight on c5, maybe play pawn to f6, pawn to g5. Is white going to take one of those kingside pawns and open up his own king with queen g7 or queen h5?
Exactly. And, well, if you do that, then you're going to allow the black rooks to infiltrate. And Arjun's not afraid of the queens coming off, because one of the things about pushing pawns is they leave behind weak squares. You can also say, and I'm going to coin an expression by David Howe, with great space comes great responsibility. You have to protect those squares. Well, what do we think?
And now David says, with new children on the way comes great responsibility. So, okay, queen g3, the engine hates it, says, why are you retreating?
Arjun is already like 1-0, so Arjun is having 1 point lead. Pranesh is in the most win situation, and it is going to be very hard. Right now, we can see Arjun is already in advantage slightly, so Arjun will hold that position for sure, minimum to a draw. The position is way complex that Arjun, I think, will have more practical chances of winning this game because Arjun position has more flexibility. and his position is better going to Injan as well. So I think Arjun will have again chances to win, and he will do 2-0. In last game, Arjun was in a very big trouble, but he did a very good comeback, and he was able to manage to win the game, which was surprising to me at first. How did that happen? So we expect a 2-0 from Arjun here. Like he's already on 1-0. It is also going to be a win for him with black pieces. Pranesh cannot win this, I think, with white pieces. There is not much of a hope.
Though the engine likes Arjun's position, I think Pranesh is doing a good job of making the game complicated in a must-win situation. The engine doesn't know that white is forced to win, so it wants to play different moves, which may lead to equality, and Pranesh doesn't want that. He wants a position maybe where he's slightly worse, where both sides have winning chances.
Exactly. And he wants a path to clarity, because as it stands, it's not that easy for white to continue. Ideally, you want that knight in the middle to be up one square, menacing the queen, whereas, I asked, and the players delivered. Thank you, Arjun. You did what I wanted to do, given an X by the engine. Wow.
Don't try this at home when you're in a game where you need a draw to qualify, play G5. Arjun doesn't care about whether he needs a draw or a win. He just wants to play the Arjun-like kind of move and push his opponent off the board.
I only just realized just now that I was advocating for a sacrifice. So I thank Arjun for not making me look stupid. But yes, I think you have to take that pawn with the queen and go into an endgame, because if you don't do that, then black is simply going to get those two pawns on the edge on the right side and start going advancing. Forward, forward, and it's very formulaic, right?
Yeah, it seems like if we don't try to trade queens with white, then white has no attack against black's king, whereas the G file, H file are about to be open against white's king. Bishop on B6 is bearing down against the king on G1. The bishop on E6 is bearing down on H3. Black has the knight on E5. That's very strong. So it's looking very difficult. Black has all these pieces that are going towards the white
Have a look at the
king.
board slightly. What is going on
White's
there?
pieces not really doing much against black's king. Arjun doesn't want to trade queens and be down a pawn, but he wants to have that open G line. With the open G line, Arjun's going to have a ready-made attack.
So complex position, wow.
The engine, even though
I don't know
black
how they're
is
able to play this
down a
complex position
pawn,
in 10 minutes
prefers
game.
black's position, because in the long
was
run,
so complex
black
today
has an
overall.
attack down the G line.
Either I am not able to understand these positions, or there are just too way complex. Like for a 10-minute game, this is way complex position. I don't know how they're playing.
It's every goal of the gambeteer to win back the sacrifice material. So maybe you can go queen takes queen. You can maybe get out of harm's way. You can actually go F6, block the trade, and then just start using the G line. Actually, that's more Arjun, right? Arjun is not going to be
Arjun's more like F6, rook G8 than trade queens and take on C4. So he's trying to figure out whether he should win his pawn back or they should just sacrifice the pawn, maybe even the H pawn.
Yeah.
Now that might be more suicidal, taking on H5. The queen might easily get trapped there with rook H8.
We'll see whether...
And he did play an Arjun style, as you suggested.
Exactly. I mean, he is all lion. I am part chicken. But we've seen the queen drop back. And now it's going to be Operation G-line. First up, you can just go immediately on the attack. You can just line up your rook against the white king. You can do something that you advocated for. You can grab that pawn, go on the steal. But here, rook comes in and, okay, come on. This is like the most natural move, and the engine is being ruthless.
As per usual. The engines are mean. Now, is white going to play one of my favorite knife F5s? Or are we going to keep that knight on D4? He took the bishop on E6. Engine doesn't say it's great, because that knight on D4 was really strong. And now king F1, avoiding the open G line, and the diagonal of the bishop on B6 was attacking the white king on G1. White's trying to play safe, keep that extra pawn. Arjun wins the pawn back. Engine doesn't like it. The engine doesn't like, the position is too complicated. The engine says it can play better. The engine wants to tag in for the players. We don't know why these moves aren't good. They look very natural to us.
They do, and this is actually engine approved. Centralize the bishop, because they say when you are on the attack, you should be getting rid of the defenders. You should just make sure your opposing king is as vulnerable as possible, and this is a great step forward. And now the knight is gonna be a little bit shaky out there because the bishop that is hiding away almost in the corner can actually start to boot that knight away, and suddenly White has a potential. Oh, you going greedy, Arjun, but can you do that? Knight's on the edge.
Well, the engine doesn't like that move, putting the knight on the side of the board. Now the c-file is open, and things have turned around completely. Bishop d3 traps the knight forever. The c-file is open to black's king. White's king is very safe on f1. Of course, bishop d3, which I liked, which the player played, the engine doesn't like it, even though it traps the knight on a3. White must have had a stronger move.
Yeah.
Still, Arjun's position is very difficult.
So the engine was advocating for something super complicated. It's very unnatural. Drop the queen back, and again, it just pile on the pressure against that bishop. But as it stands, that was a missed opportunity for Pranesh, and now we still have a very unbalanced position in front of us with, I'm not sure who's attacking who.
Yeah, it looks like White has more initiative on the queen side. A lot of the pieces for both sides have shifted over to the queen side. After Pranesh moved his queen over to the king side.
Somehow the game is back to equality, which is very crazy to understand. I like white pieces in these positions mostly because white has the center control. Other than that, I don't know.
One move to punish that, and that was to lift up the rook 2 squares, attack the knight. This is not the correct way because the black knight can block the attack. The queen at the minute, the white queen is attacking the knight, and black can get away with it, but it's an only move. Maybe we can have analysis board because this is it, and he finds it.
Black plays the brilliant move knight b3. Both sides move their king out of the way. Let's go back and show. Instead, White should have played rook c3, attacking the knight directly. Instead, he played bishop e2, attacking the knight with the queen. Knight b3, defended by the queen. The knights are attacking everything. Bishop takes, pawn takes.
And everything is being handled beautifully by Arjun Erigaisi. And you can see he's in full defensive mode right here. And perfect defense there. But that was a golden opportunity for Pranesh. And now we're having, the rook coming to c8. Very natural move, challenging for control over the c-line. But I guess the big issue is that this knight is trapped on the edge of the board.
Again, the engine doesn't like it. The position's too complicated for a blitz game. The knight's trapped on a3, and the engine says black can just move that queen down there eventually and defend the knight. And if you never, and he played exactly correctly, trading on c1 and queen a2. And now, if nothing happens the next 10 moves or so, black has that passed a pawn. Black has a safe king on a7. Still very double-edged position. Big time advantage for Pranesh. Again, Arjun, with these super complications, which no human can fathom, somehow has a 67 heart rate. I don't know how he does that.
And it's a complicated position because this is a game that could go either way, as Ben is indicating. If black doesn't do anything, black will just simply be pushing the queenside pawns. But if white has to go on the offensive now, and the first thing is you can give a check. You can take a pawn, give a check, and you can also take other pawns as well. And it's going to be a big question. Whose king is safest? And I think the answer is white. White is the one who has the easier path.
Yeah, white's king on f1 is pretty safe right now. Black's kingside pawns are all very weak. h5 is under pressure from the bishop. d6 is hanging with check. f6 is hanging. Once we take the d6 pawn, knight on a3 is trapped. Of course, the engine likes white. Okay, king g1, a move I never would have thought of. I would have thought the king was better on f1. But I think Pranesh wants to play bishop f1, so the queen on a2 isn't attacking the bishop anymore. Then the g2 pawn is protected. And
there's generally only one right here, just to co-stream. That is the thing. I can't mute them most of the time. That's the agreement that was sent. And that's all. I can't mute them. I can maybe speak in sometimes in between. That's practically what I can do. and I can't block their some logos, etc. So my cam is small. Let's see. I don't know what to say about React and commentary. I don't know. Like I cannot mute them for longer. That is what was said, and nobody does that. Like in all the channels that you were able to see who are co-streaming, they are just doing the same, just broadcasting the stream from their own channel.
On some tactics, I was thinking the knight can come forward. I didn't spot this one. There's a nice find from Arjun. Whole idea is you can't take that knight because the rook will be loose. So instead, Pranesh has to find another move.
Are you saying white shouldn't sacrifice the rook?
No.
What would Levy say? No.
He would not approve on that particular case, and he goes back.
Oh boy, the engine doesn't like these moves.
No, he doesn't like it because I suspect that the queen can come and give a check.
Yeah, I was advocating for bishop f1 and he played king h2. Yeah, now queen d5 check defends everything. Black can play knight d4. Okay, he plays knight d4 right away. Now black is up a lot of pawns.
Exactly, and there goes the rook. But it was a trade. It wasn't entirely a sacrifice, and now the king, black king, safe.
Very safe on a7.
And it's a question of pawn racing, right? And white is going to have to generate a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of moves. So this is why Pranesh is hoping to go on the counter. He needs to win. He needs to win if he wants to survive in this competition. Check there from Arjun, block from Pranesh, and now the queen is threatening the pawn on f2, and you have to step back with the king. You have to do some defensive footwork there. And Arjun, look at him. Look how he's combining the bishop, the rook, sorry, not the rook, the queen and the knight, threatening checkmate. And there goes a pawn. There goes another one. And again, the black king, super safe. White's position completely collapsing.
It's pandemonium. He's losing all of his pawns. Black has so many extra pawns, I can't count that high. White's trying for tricks with bishop d5 and queen b7 mate. That's not going to happen. Black's king is too safe. Arjun can make his king safe forever by playing knight c5, and then he can just push his a pawn to victory.
And Arjun doesn't even
he's
have problems.
Gonna that's also a good d5.
It is. That pawn was untouchable. And it's checkmate again. Arjun Erigaisi wins 2-0 and gets a place into the quarterfinals. Wow.
What a topsy-turvy game. That could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way. It was a game full of twists, turns, adventure. Very nervy. But Arjun Erigaisi manages to handle those complications and secure himself a spot in the top 8.
Hey, we're not as bad as we thought we were. Yesterday, they asked you who you thought. You said Arjun. They asked me yesterday. I said Nihal. And they're both on to tomorrow. We know what we're talking about.
Well, they live to yet another day as they go into the playoffs. For Arjun Erigaisi, I think he'll be breathing a huge sigh of relief because this was not an easy match despite the scoreline.
No, that was a very exciting match. Both games could have gone either way. We saw Pranesh lose an endgame where he had an extra pawn. That game, the engine liked his position quite a lot also. Too complicated. Both sides were getting attacked. Lots of pawns hanging, lots of weak pawns. And eventually, Arjun just overpowered Pranesh. And near the end of the game, really great match for the spectators. Yeah, really amazing.
We're going to go straight to the stage for an interview and a key crush.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please, as Pranesh hands over his key, round of applause one more time for Pranesh. And if I could please get a word, you're officially qualified for the playoffs. How do you feel about your play up to this point?
I think yesterday it was very good. Even though I lost one match, I was pretty happy with how I played. But today, even though I won, I wasn't so satisfied. I think I should have played better. But okay, I'm happy that I got the job done.
Last year, you finished in 4th place, an amazing finish. Of course, this year, you're looking to take it even further. How confident are you in your chances to beat your placement from last year and maybe lift this trophy?
Yeah, it's never going to be easy with such strong players like Alireza, Magnus, and everyone. But I'll just focus on giving my best, and that's all.
Okay, and last thing that I have to ask about, they show the heart rates up there. Your heart rate is only like 50-something.
How can he get like he had like 48, man? Like his heart rate was at some point 48. I was amazed to see that. I don't know what has happened. Like how can someone get like 48 heart like an adult person and 48? Not even that adult also like this at a young age. I don't know how 48, man. 48 BPM beats per minute. Seriously, that's too low.
Arjun! Arjun, you can go ahead and crush your opponent's key.
Another time to crush a key, crush some dreams. That's the
Every player has a key and the winner crushes the key when the player gets eliminated.
traditional key crusher. Key is being set, Arjun. Congratulations again. Looking forward to see you on the playoffs tomorrow. Remember, only 8 can remain to 1. He just punched his ticket. It is time to give him the quick briefing before we go and destroy that key. We've had pretty good pops. All you have to do is to go for this until you hear it explode. This is the end of the way for Pranesh, but Arjun validates his ticket. Let's hear it. Nice, clean and efficient. Congratulations once again to Arjun. You can just stand next to me, brother. Congratulations to Arjun. You will be back tomorrow, but once again, everyone can have a big round of applause for Arjun Erigaisi.
Scrolling is cringe. Chess is fun. Get all the dopamine of looking at your screen and none of the guilt when you're improving your mind with chess. Want to improve at your own pace? Take a few seconds to complete a puzzle and learn something new. Don't be cringe. Play chess. There's something for everyone at chess.com. Learn, play, and have fun.
China ka mal hoga, bro. What is that? But somehow, yeah, heart rate was shown to 50. I don't know why. You want to watch the ad? You can air the way.
Pranesh in a commanding fashion, 2-0, knocking him out of the tournament, crushing Pranesh's key. As it crushed and crumbled, so did the hearts of the competitor of Pranesh. But what a performance he had throughout our tournaments and getting some big wins, including Benjamin BOK just a little bit earlier. Seoul Esports should be incredibly proud of their competitor.
Pranesh has had a fantastic tournament. Of course, not playing Arjun Erigaisi, a very strong player. Arjun even looked very experienced with crushing the key, I felt like.
That's right.
He's crushed many keys throughout the last 2 years, coming here fourth last year. But Pranesh has had a fantastic tournament, beating, like you said, Benjamin BOK.
Yeah, now I'll be doing the other chai pani thing. This EWC, I have to stop. I think one more match is remaining between Nepo and Lezavic. Dennis Lezavic or Dennis, what is her name? We cannot watch that because we need to do our arena type of things. So for now, I think we are going to end it here. Tomorrow we can watch Magnus Carlsen if possible, if he's going to play. Tomorrow I think Magnus Carlsen will be playing like yesterday. He played. I missed it yesterday. Tomorrow we'll be watching it. And let's see if the copyright comes or not. As I have right, I should not be getting any copyrights from them. So let's see. So I'll be ending this stream here. And let's meet after 10 minutes in the next stream. I'll be eating some food. I have already cooked. And I'll be back with Chai Pani Arena. So yeah, let's meet there, guys. Everyone, bye bye. Akash says, Vivek bro, Prazu,